Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Christophe Fournier, John Travolta, JMels24, Aaron Bowden, Yuyi Namento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealon's Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Gilded and G+, and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Yeah, it's important stuff.
Afternoon, guys.
Hello, Adam.
Hello, your emissary.
The emissary. It's not your emissary.
I said your
It's
emissary.
not like your highness.
Your Eminence.
You can call him your eminence.
Eminence.
Yes, that would be more appropriate.
He's just a smidgen off.
I'm from Brooklyn. We have different words.
You know what an emissary is,
I
Neil?
say pulverizing.
Hold on, it's worth it if you've used the word incorrectly. That tells me that you. I'm not going to be rude, but don't understand what the word means. Adam, can you explain what an emissary is, please? Because people have heard this word a few times, and they might not have heard the backstory to why you got labelled that and what it means and why you're labelled it. If you don't mind, unless you can't.
No, I can. The backstory is I was told I was going to have to deal with it, all the ether stuff. I was best positioned to deal with it, and I said I would do so if I was given an over-the-top title. So we went with emissary. But I'll give the description from the dictionary. It's probably the best thing. A person sent as a diplomatic representative on a special mission. I think Neil knows my special mission. Is to uncover the definition of
even
ether.
if he does, what's your special mission, Adam?
Oh, it's to try and understand the claims that was being put to us in relation to, specifically, I'm the emissary to the Ethereums. It was to just try and comprehend what was being claimed.
Down. And what are we really breaking this all down for the lexicon? What's an Ethereum?
Well, that's a Orwellian word.
Don't throw in too many words. We can't define them all.
It's an Orwellian term for somebody that believes in both the flat Earth and ether.
That's an Ethereum. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you've been set up as a man on a diplomatic mission to establish what precisely is the claims of the people who believe in both flat Earth and there being this background medium known as ether. That's your position, and therefore your title is emissary to the Ethereans, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, now I knew.
Yes, sometime maybe Tuesday, or I'll release it on Saturday, Neil.
For me to
Something like that.
it's changing. It's going from Bluetooth to that. So I'm trying, guys. Jeez. Anyway, but for me to explain it ain't happening. But I understand totally what it is. And have you made any progress with that? By the way, may I ask you, Your Eminence?
Well, I'm being presented with stuff, aren't I? So we had a little look this week at boiling point of water, and we'd reviewed the hypothesis of
Yeah. Enough about that.
sunburn.
Right. So hopefully I'm not
No.
opening an old wound here, but sorry to cut you off. 10 minutes to go and all. Why would you specifically be the most appropriate person to have that delegated to you by, I assume, our illustrious quasi-leader, Quantum Eraser?
Well, QE, because he was sick of dealing
That's
with
not the
it.
question.
Was the honest answer.
Why you? You know where I'm
Yeah.
going with this, and you're going to be
Yeah.
thinking,
Well,
bastard.
because I was well placed and well versed. At my time at Iron Realm, these things were discussed. I went on Globe Buses, discussed it, gave my opinion. I think that was specifically to do with density and buoyancy and the direction of down. That one.
You're being humble.
Was it tea time?
Yeah,
Adam?
hold on. Adam hasn't got where I know he wants me to get him to go. Let's just carry on with Adam. Sorry, you guys.
So obviously I was with Iron Realm, and it's at that point when this topic comes up that my opinion is causing drama. I think was the phrase. That's why I was asked to leave. But I do think because of that, I'm well versed and understand their position, I think, pretty well.
So, just to clarify, you were a founding member of a channel called Iron Realm Media, where you set them up with networking and computing and helped them in many different ways. Established the channel. You got buddy with a member of Globebusters, we won't mention any names, Bob Nodell. And as a result of your being awkward in regards to wanting presumably proof of various different things that were being claimed, you were told to leave, correct?
Yeah, I think the phrase was, we don't need this drama, which to me was a surprise. I was oblivious to it, very oblivious.
So drama that someone else was causing about you and your opinion, they didn't need that, therefore it was easier to get rid of you and your opinion than the person causing the drama.
Yeah, I think pretty much. There was that, and the witch hunt against Arwen as well. And because I wouldn't castigate Arwen, I don't think my opinion.
If he wants to be a witch, it's his bag.
Or a wizard hunt in his case.
So was it tea time, Adam, when you acted as an emissary?
Here it comes.
Go on.
Well, no, I'm asking, was it tea time? Because the topic was ether, but they were boiling water. So was it tea time?
Could be time for tea.
Okay. So what does boiling water have to do with ether?
Well, as it turns out, I can't see a causal link of any description there, but these are the things that are worth investigating on.
I can link it if you can't. Okay, so the problem is that we assert that science is a tool for proving cause and effect relationships. An effect is an effect observed in nature. Now, on Flat Earth Debate, we're exclusively interested in the physical and natural world, and that is what science and the scientific method exclusively deal with. Therefore, we are very interested in science and the scientific method and its empirical method of proving things. Okay. Now, along that route, we also highlight the fact that people will use the words of science as a magic trick to convince people that they have proof of things. And that is not limited to the globe. It's also including people who claim ether. That would be Ethereans. So the Ethereans have the same threat posed to them by us as the globe earthers do when we point out that science absolutely proves things, but it doesn't if you haven't got it. And if you're saying you've got it and you haven't, we'll be pointing that out, making us a threat. Therefore, it was asserted by Jaren that science doesn't prove anything, and obviously that was challenged with an example that dumbed down the scientific method to the point where if heat is applied to water, you will get it to boil. Boiling being the natural phenomena, heat application being the causal influencer, and the hypothesis if A then B, A being water, A being the application of heat, B being water boiling, and the null, that would be If A, application of heat, not water boiling, that's the null. The full application of the hypothesis, that would be hypothesis actualization, aka experiment, I'm getting there, is what's claimed by Ethereans. They claim they've got experiments. That's an actualization of the hypothesis if A then B, or if A not B, and our example being boiling water. Hopefully that was as concise as I can make the connection.
Hold on.
Well-
They said that ether can't be science, though. Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
No, my follow-up to that would be that water is manifest and heat is manifest, but ether, they say, is non-manifest. So how could it even be applied to the scientific method?
So this comes to my request from QE Live on Tuesday. They, as we can see, challenge the scientific method and have apparently got their own logical framework that allows them to reach conclusions. And that was my request on Tuesday, to have oversight of this logical framework. We've heard it mentioned a number of times, but I'd just like to see what and how it operates to come to conclusions. So that was...
I don't have a, if you're done, Adam, I don't have a problem even imagining or accepting that ether might be there. But to say you proved it is what we're asking for. We're not even saying it doesn't exist. We're saying, you're saying you proved it. Show us how you proved it. And then when push comes to shove, they decide to throw the scientific method out the window because that's how you would do it. And they didn't do it that way. So obviously, rather than being more open-minded, as I hope I'm coming across, yeah, there might be something there. It might be invisible, but how do you prove it? That's not saying it doesn't exist. That's just saying how do you come to the point of your conviction that it was proven somehow.
Chance, they don't claim it's invisible. They claim
that
it doesn't. They don't claim it's invisible. They claim it's non-manifest, which means it doesn't exist in the physical world.
No,
Right.
what doesn't exist? What is ether?
And this is the purpose for the logical frameworks. I think, to be fair to them, they recognise that whilst they are making the claim it's part of the natural world, they're not. They're in acceptance that it's not part of the physical world, and in doing so, they accept that science is not, unless they can find some physical attribute, it's not a usable method of testing anything. So
Bob's, I'm
that's
sorry.
the call where they go to the validity of their logical framework, and that's what I'm asking to see what this logical framework is, because that appears to be the thing that's being used in replacement of science to give validity.
Well, I'm confused then because Bob said science proved it already.
Just me, or has it all gone very quiet? Just as I'm pressing
No,
buttons.
I left out a question. Bob
Thanks so
said
much.
that
Scramble to get back to the mute button to ask why it's gone silent at 1
I
minute.
assumed you'd started the show.
No,
So
no.
I thought I
at
just
1
started
minute
the
too,
show.
no.
And it's gone quiet.
No, I'm
No,
going
it's a
to
good
now. I'm probably going to be late.
it's a good silence, Nathan. It was
Thanks.
at the end of
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by 10th Man, the Adam Meakin, Refracted Curvature, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Gilded, so welcome one and all.
Afternoon, everyone.
One enthusiastic bunch. Thanks, Adam. It's good to have you here.
Where's everyone run off?
I don't know. We went from uber high enthusiasm, and then it's like a kid on a sugar come down. You know, everyone's a bit.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning. The one person beyond the actual show moderator in Gilded that's in Gilded. Thank you for replying. Much obliged. Well, it's going to be a slow start, ladies and gentlemen, but that doesn't mean we can't have fun and learn about how the Earth is flat. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge, that's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curve.
Do I have to go through this again?
Well, if it exists below surface level, according to their math.
Yeah, you're going to need a flat plane to measure anything. If you say below surface level, below surface level, you mean the level surface that we're measuring and navigating. Below that level, that's where the curve exists, in the maths, below surface level.
In their math that they're trying to get us to reify. Yeah, that's, I guess, where it exists.
I see. Yeah, it only exists in the maths according to the rumpus. Never a true word spoken. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Hello,
Hello!
I'm spinning.
You are? How much did you drink?
No, it's just because the celestial seems to be moving around us. So I'm just gonna assume I'm spinning then. Because what? The entire universe is rotating around us? No, that seems very egocentric to take that vantage point. So I'm just gonna assume that we're spinning underneath the universe then.
I see. Why would you make such an assumption?
Because that's my proof of axial rotation?
That's your proof of axial rotation.
Wait,
Hello.
it's not.
Sounds a bit like
Assumption
Edward
is
Hubble's
99%
excuse.
of the world believes it.
Anybody know what he's babbling
Sorry?
on about? I don't.
I can only think Alwyn's the same as Edwin Hubble. That the reason the universe can't be rotating around him is because he's just a mere human. And that would be, is it inconceivable, such a thing, that the universe would revolve around us? So is it your humility that means it's rotating, Alwyn?
Yes, humility. Yes, of course. That's it.
What consequences would you have if you were right on a spinning platform called the Earth?
Well, that all depends on how serious
it
you're going
don't.
to take things like forces and momentum, and especially
Well-
angular momentum, you know, if you're going to take that into account.
Well, the stars are moving, and you're saying it's because the Earth is spinning. Am I right?
Well, something is spinning, right? And then I brought down the dichotomy of, oh, is it me or is it the entire universe? So that was my solution.
Well, take a position. Is the Earth spinning? Is that why we see the stars moving? Is that your position?
Not necessarily,
Oh, okay.
but something
What's-
is spinning, so we don't know which one.
What's the
If it
radius
was
of
the
the
Earth
Earth?
spinning, if it was the Earth spinning, what should we see, Ted Fan?
Well,
Sorry, say again?
I like what John is saying. John, go on with what you were saying.
But before we can assert that it has an axis to spin upon, we need to measure a radial value.
Well, let's answer that. That's the next question
But
then. Any
do we,
evidence of the
though?
art? My bad.
Oh,
Any evidence of
Took
the
all the
art?
fun out of it.
I'm not done yet, Nathan.
Oh, sorry.
He was asking, like, don't you need a radius for that? And I'd say no. If something is spinning, whether it is you or everything around you, wouldn't that automatically infer a radius, even whether you measured it or not?
But just changing prerequisite or requirement to inference, it doesn't alter the fact that you're going to need a radial value if you're going to assert you're spinning.
Yeah, but wouldn't it already be there if something is spinning?
Drag it out some more so I can't concisely get it into the radius question. Any evidence of the R value for Earth as a sphere?
Well, something
Negative.
seems to be spinning, whether it is the Earth or the universe. So, and if something is spinning, well, there would have to be a radius somehow.
Yeah, we got that. Oh, John, can you deal with him?
I just answered your R value question with the previous.
No, you
No.
didn't.
Two different R's, aren't they, John?
Yes, sir.
Which are you talking about, Arwen? Your radial R or your spherical
He's
dimension?
addressing John.
R?
He's addressing John and segueing it, trying to tie it back into the globe question, but, well, only answering John. That's why I asked John to deal with him.
Sorry, ask again?
I give up. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Over there?
Was that
Well,
Arwen?
Yes,
Hold on,
it's
you
over
have-
there, but if there has to be some kind of distance if the entire universe is spinning around us or we are spinning underneath it.
Hold on. In schools all over the world, they're being taught that it's 93 million miles away. Okay? So there you have it.
Well, I don't know about that, but it would have to have a distance, wouldn't it? If either the universe is spinning around us or we are spinning in between the universe.
Well, you're assuming that the universe is spinning instead of just saying the stars are spinning now. Like, they're just lights.
Well, wouldn't they have to be? I mean, either everything is spinning around us, and that would imply everything in the universe, or we are spinning underneath it. I mean, you
I
can't have either one or the other.
I can shine a light on a disco ball, and it seemed that the lights on the walls are spinning. That doesn't mean that the walls are spinning.
Well, where's the barrier then? Where's
I
your
guess
dome?
whatever keeping in the gas.
You
Yeah,
trouble
but
there,
that's not my
Arwen.
question. I'm not asking the question to justify whether there is gas or not. I'm asking it, oh, so it's projected on something? Well, where's that
No,
something that it's
no, I
projected
didn't
on
make
then? That's
I
why
didn't
I'm
make
asking
that.
about the dome.
I did not make that assertion. I just pointed out that your proof was faulty.
Quick
Why?
shout out, sorry to interrupt, to Theo Megawerty, who says, if you times jumps by humidity, is that humility? Humility. By humility, how many blue you get? Just try that once more, unless someone wants to translate. If you times jumps by humility, how many blue you get? Thank you for the super chat. Also, shout out to Godzilla 37, who says
Nice. He's handing out membership.
gifted 5 memberships. Okay, I don't understand how that works, but thank you very much. Can someone explain that to me? I don't understand what Godzilla's just done.
Well, he's given 5 memberships to 5 other people. He's assigned them. You can do that apparently, and just bulk buy it and then hand them out. I've seen other people do it too.
Oh wow. Okay. I thank you very much. You've given people memberships to my channel, Godzilla.
Hold
wow.
on, do they pay for that?
Obviously, he pays for it, and I profit from it. I mean, thank you on multiple levels. I'm a little bit taken back. Thank you, Godzilla.
What a guy.
What a guy. Anyway, I'm sorry to break up the flow,
He's-
Arwin.
He's
Shall I
a,
ask
he's
another
a smart
housekeeping
guy. He's
question
got
to
the
get us back on
presence of
track?
mind.
Want me to ask another housekeeping question?
I didn't hear you. Tempus rumpus in you.
I'll ask another
I thought it was-
housekeeping question. Any evidence?
So
of
you're
the
not going to continue the interview?
interview?
Sorry, I mean, I kind of solved the housekeeping question. You're just ready
No,
to
you
move
didn't.
on.
Somebody slap
Just
him.
that interview.
Ugh. I'm gonna ask another housekeeping question. I'm gonna have to tame you somehow.
Well, just pulling back to all what he was saying there was all based with physicality assumption bias.
Okay,
Oh,
let's just get this train wreck back on
Hey!
track. Arwin's
Don't
ruining the
use
show.
my own concepts against me.
The best weapon.
Hold on. You were
against
talking
all
about
this.
the distance. You were talking about the distance of the sun, correct? Did anybody see Brian's video? He put it in, I think, the war room. A little short video of all the sunsets, a sun sitting in the middle of the sky. So what is it?
I think that the sun is a side effect of the actual sunlight and not the other way around. It's just our mind that turn it into an object because of its significance within our sight. But that it is basically just a side effect. I think that the entire sun itself, and that would include, by the way, the moon as well, they're like a lens flare that's just bizarrely consistent and detailed. That's what I really think it's more like. Now, where is that light all coming from? Yeah, that's the big mystery, It's coming from somewhere.
I'm happy with that. I just do not know.
That works for me.
Hold on a second. It's sitting right up in the sky, and you're going to say you don't know? This is the problem, and this is what my son says to me. You just sit there and say you don't know. You have no answers for anything, and you want me to be a flat earther. Well, I don't want you to be a flat earther, but
Well,
it seems like we have no
what's
answers.
better?
Sorry,
A
just
What's
fallacy
better?
is
Having
better than
answers
sorry.
that are obviously
sorry,
wrong,
guys.
or not
Godzilla comes before you guys. I'm really sorry. Thank you very much to Godzilla37, who says, yes, it's an option in the super chat selection. They each get a month free memberships, obviously, and you get a cut. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it, Godzilla. Thank you so much. I don't know how you assign them to particular people. Don't super chat me again to tell me. I mean, obviously, if you want to, fine. But yeah, that's wonderful. I can't believe that's something that you can do, and you've done it, and that's wonderful. I don't know who. Maybe you can tell me who you've assigned them to. Presumably, you just get to pick particular people that you like in the chat and say, you get a membership, and you get a membership, and you get a membership, and you get a membership. Cool. Thanks again, Godzilla37. Sorry to interrupt everyone else in G+.
Got the names if you want to give them a shout, Nathan.
You've got them.
Sweet.
Can you do it for me?
can
I'll
see 'em,
obviously
yeah,
figure
yeah.
out how to do this in the future.
It's underneath it. They're just listed up. So Susie S, Michael Jones, Titan Long, Hither Tither, and Nicholas Pitts, all gifted from Godzilla.
Well, welcome. As members, you get to see the Uncut and After show as soon as it gets published, which is obviously as soon as it gets recorded and uploaded. Thank you very much, Godzilla37, also for the super chat. Another super chat. They grab them when announced. I don't choose them. Oh, right. So people who want the memberships get to just, it's a grab bag. If you want a membership, you go, I want that membership. Cool.
Everybody else knows what's going on in your show but you. That's good.
If a fallacy is better than nothing, Neil, that is what your son is saying.
Well, he wants answers.
Yeah, that was my statement.
He wants answers, and he demands you give them to him.
Well, he knows my position on it, but it's funny that he wants answers, so that means he's not satisfied with his answers. You got me?
Well, he's not willing. He's
What
not
is
willing. He's not willing to relinquish his story until you find a replacement for it. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Well, why would you want to replace your story if you're happy with it? I'm sorry, Ken. Go ahead.
Because otherwise
What?
you don't have anything. You don't have a story. You just have this hole
Wow,
and you don't
Ken,
know
your
anything.
voice has changed.
I know.
I don't understand what the sun has to do with the Earth being flat or a ball. We need a radius for it to be a ball, and we don't have an R value.
Well, to measure angles to the sun, you would need a flat Earth. So there's that.
I know, I'm just trying to say, why look at stuff in the sky and say, well, I must be standing on one of those things? Why not measure what you're standing on?
Yeah, that always got me too. Like, why? Because it seems like everything is a sphere. You know, the heavenly body is a sphere, so we must be a sphere. Never
Well,
got that.
It's circular, for sure, but what does that mean about what you're on? That's up there. We're on this. What is this? So we should see curvature. We don't. We measure elevation angles. You need a flat baseline from GP to GP of observer and the luminary you're sighting with the sextant. And that goes for thousands and thousands of miles of a flat baseline. How could that ever even come close to the curvature of an Earth at 1.22 miles times the square root of the observer's height in feet?
Some things are you.
At 1 foot, it's supposed to be 1.22 miles out.
But it's not.
Well, then it's not a ball.
There you go.
Golly.
Okay. I forgot where we are now. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nathan,
Ah,
did
no,
you
it's a
not
work
just hear
in
what he
progress.
said?
No. I was trying to get the chat to come up on a different selection of Discord. Since I've got the new computer, it's all been rearranged, so I'm slowly working through it in the live shows. But thank you. No, I wasn't actually listening on
Well,
that occasion.
Ken took us through the black swan. No curvature, no movement, so therefore it cannot be a ball. And you ask for any evidence of a molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth? I don't get the question.
P waves and S waves, Neil.
You need a flat plane for that.
Great sonogram.
It's a package deal, Neil.
Well, if there are answers to these questions, then why are the ballers not knocking down the doors to get in here and give us the answers? I'm told that the show repeats itself and repeats itself. Yes, it does. First of all, we're not getting any answers to these things, proving that, well, not proof, but we're demonstrating that they have no evidence for what they claim.
Another shout out to IFE Ayahuasca. IFE? Ether? ETH? How would you say that?
Ivy Avosika. Avosika. I don't know. It's a weird name.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. I did catch an actual live show. Did I catch an actual live show? Yes, you did. You are indeed being shouted out live. Hi, Nathan and crew. Globe believers never know how to respond to "you need R for that," in quotes. No, they don't know how to respond to that because they just have to provide you with an R measurement, which they haven't got. So, no, they are pretty scuppered when they are asked for R because we debunk it on a daily basis. So that's good stuff. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
You serious?
Well, if I have a conceptual medium that light is propagating through as well as gravitational waves, is there any problem with that assumption?
What's a gravitational wave?
A wave of gravitons.
No, no.
What's the graviton?
It's a pure model. They made a model that there's supposedly like ripples of gravity happening. It's conjured out of absolutely nothing. They literally made up that fictional story and then tried to reify it with some device that supposedly picked that up. It's not. I don't even think it's really canon. I mean,
There was a
they picked it up as part of the story, but it's not really officially recognized too much. They haven't really elaborated upon gravity waves and all that nonsense. So,
They built LIGO to find them.
oh yeah, sure. Oh, they'll find it, or they'll look for it
Sorry
for
to
sure.
interrupt.
But
Can you turn your speakers down just a smidge, Arvin?
Right. They built LIGO to find them. So LIGO is probably in the billions of dollars for something that's not canon.
I don't know. I think I saw ripples of gravity next to Cabernet Isle.
What's LIGO do? What is LIGO?
It's
Anyone?
that place that found the God particle.
What's it do though? What is it?
They shoot things, right?
Oh, I thought LIGO was that.
That's CERN. Yeah. What's
that's
LIGO?
CERN.
Anybody other than Neil?
telescope.
The laser interferometry, they send it down, don't they, along that massive flat level length, and I think it's the return. They then claim you can notice if there's a gravitational waves pass through it. So it's on a right angle, isn't it? I think one going north, south, and one going east, west. And something in the interferometry within that means you can detect gravitational waves. The only bit I really remember is that they were struggling to rule out certain things that were interfering with it, and they found out that the microwave in the canteen was ruining the results. So yeah, if stuff like that's doing it, and trains traveling and stuff in distances and stuff, apparently they were affecting it. You just wonder.
According to Wiki,
Yeah.
hold on.
So
According to Wiki,
so
the
it's
Laser
two sets.
Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory is a large-scale physics experiment. Oh, experiment, huh? An observatory designed to detect cosmic gravitational waves and to develop gravitational wave observations as an astronomical tool. That's what Wiki says. So what Adam said.
Adam, what is next to LIGO that has water in it?
Great Big Canal.
What's it used for?
Level.
Okay.
I just don't understand, like, how is it supposed to pick up gravity waves when microwaves from down the street are picked up? Well, do microwaves create gravity? Why is it picking up microwaves? Shouldn't it be picking up gravity ripples? Like, what?
Just looked it up on Google and yeah, why not? It says, if you like. It can be whatever you want.
So what was
It
the
seems-
observed
like-
phenomena in the experiment?
Good question. Any scientific evidence of gravity? Let's start with the observed phenomena.
Well, microwaves in a canteen influencing LIGO?
What?
It was that Alwyn, and I'm sure it was either that or trains, and they were interfering with it. And what I was going to make was if you've got things like that ruining your results, how the hell do you rule out everything to interpret that you've just received a gravitational wave from an exploding star 3 billion years ago?
Yeah, that was my question, especially if it's picking up, well, non-gravity things.
It struck me as one of those, you know, when we had the bouncing the radar off the sun, and they go, oh, we can't see it, and then somebody who's more invested goes, no, look, it's there. You look, you know, you've got to look in this spot here, and I just wonder how the hell you would pretend to look at the right time point to intercept a gravitational wave from an explosion 3 billion years ago. it just seems one of those fantastical tales to me. It just seems complete fantasy. It doesn't
well,
seem something you could identify, because surely this wave, what do we do? Do we see it explode first, then calculate at what time the wave will arrive to look? We just wait around for 100 years, 1,000,000 years. You know what I mean? What is it? Does it do something special on the detector? Not as far as I can tell. That's the trouble, ruling out all of these other parameters that cause similar effects.
Well, how do they even know it is a wave if you can't get a wave pattern out of it?
Well,
It's obviously a wave. My goodness. How much did this thing cost, Adam?
lots of
appeal
multiple-
to
Okay.
appeal to dollar value fallacy. What the hell?
No. Okay, let's just say it cost a lot of money. It picked up microwaves. All that money to pick up a microwave signal.
Right. It
It's an-
sounds just like a really careful spying station, but gravity?
Well, at least with the train example, they were on the right track.
Well, I'm glad they built it nice and level so they can have a good flat baseline to measure their results with. That was really important.
Well, you
Any-
got things like
Kind of sounds to
LIGO
me like
and
it's just a
Hold on,
overly
hold on, Owen.
sensitive thing.
Hold on. Go ahead, Neil.
well, you got things like LIGO and then CERN. They say CERN is the world's largest and most respected center for scientific research. The problem is pseudoscience, it sounds like to me.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, what's
Yeah.
the phenomena? We're still. Did we cover that? Like 2 minutes ago.
There is none.
Hang on. We just have to establish if there's a microwave in the CERN cantina first.
Hold on. Is a microwave? Are microwaves the studied phenomena that at CERN? Then is that what they're claiming they're studying? Microwaves.
Yes, microwaves create gravity to heat food. Don't you know that?
Hold on. That's a step. That's a step beyond. Where'd you get from microwaves? Okay, microwaves I'll accept exist in nature. Yeah, cool. So we're studying microwaves. Is this the science of microwaves then? Light.
No, it's as far as I'm aware, it's any disturbance in the return pattern of the lights that would indicate that a gravitational wave has
Oh, hold on.
passed through.
Stop. Any deviation in the return pattern, is that your naturally observed phenomena then? Where's that occurring in nature?
Well, Nathan, you
ask
gotta think
Adam.
of it like listening to spooky ghost sounds on tapes, right? It's
I'll
kind of
determine
like
what
that.
it is. Yeah, I know what it is. I've seen it. I'm playing dumb, Arwin, just so we can get the conversation to be concise for those who don't know. So I was asking Adam, though.
That's what is set up within the experiment. I don't know how you would equate that to a natural phenomenon.
So pink writing time, if it was CERN and Professor from CERN in front of us, okay, what's the naturally occurring phenomena in pink writing? What's he going to, in your estimation, right? What's he going to be writing down, or what's QE going to be writing down as a response?
If variation in return path.
Where's that observed in nature? This is the natural.
I know, but this is what
Isn't
you've
that
got.
measurements, though?
Then
everybody else,
gravitational wave.
just let Adam
But
nicely,
gravitational
concisely.
wave.
Ugh, hold on, John. I just want Adam to break down. If we had the pink writing up, it would be easier. Why are we all so lazy? Why haven't I just in Word? I mean, QE's presentation of the pink writing was about as low rent as you could get, right? But none of us have replicated it. But we'd cut through this in about 3 minutes, wouldn't it?
It's a painful process to get that technology back, isn't it?
Let's try once more. Just Adam, please. Just Adam. So, naturally occurring phenomena at LIGO is, drum roll,
A variation in the return of the light pattern.
that's not natural.
No, but you're not going to get one. There isn't one.
So there's no science at LIGO.
I said pseudoscience.
Yes, I'm backing your point here, Neil. Yes, that's right. Correct. As you correctly point out. It's pseudoscience then.
Well,
Would
there's
it be
no-
wrong to say?
Go on, John.
Go on, John.
I was just going to say, would it be wrong to say gravitational waves is the observed phenomenon that
Sure,
we're
if you
trying
can-
to observe?
Where are
Which
we
is what?
observing them in nature? And what are they?
We're trying to observe them, Nathan.
It's ask about face, I'm afraid. No. Step one is observe the natural phenomena. It's walking along in nature and going, oh, check that out. Now, that is going to be the phenomena I'm about to describe. And how did that, the phenomena that I'm looking at, going, wow, look at that, how did that happen? That's what science is interested in. So step one is, check out that thing happening in nature, and then asking, how did that happen? And then formulating a hypothesis with a presumed cause of that effect that you saw. You try and induce the effect by varying something you presume caused it. That's what science is and does, if you describe it in a kind of reification way, which I'm not yet wrapping my head around how not to do. But in any event, the method of science starts with looking at something happening in nature and asking why it happened. So if we haven't got that, return signals from... No. What we're seeing in
got one.
nature...
Right. If deja vu, then that was a gravity wave that just passed through me. It's as good as it's going to get.
that's me. I can't put that in a bag and show it to someone else, I'm afraid. No.
Actually, I've been there before, Adam. The best thing is that it's aptly named because that's how far the lie goes.
Indeed. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Well, I kind of liked what Adam just brought forth. So deja vu is like the displacement or within the bending of space-time in order to get another part of space-time, isn't it?
Hey, you see? Makes
No,
sense.
I
doesn't it,
see.
my
Yeah, you
dodgy
see.
brain?
The nonsense
missed it
waffle
all.
you came out with to try and shoehorn in a phenomena on their behalf was admirable. Arwin agreeing with you isn't.
How about my pun?
Well, Nathan, how do you expect us to make scientific discoveries if you don't let us look for things that we know that are there that we haven't ever experienced?
Because it's asked about... I just answered this. It's asked about face. The wrong way round. You start by going, what caused that to happen? But you've got to see that happening to ask why it happened, to start investigating how and why it happened by varying a presumed cause to see if you can make it happen. If it hasn't happened, what are you trying to induce when you vary something? Well, you're just not doing science if this is the case. Now, it might be that you're trying to advance some sort of technology. You know, you're basically troubleshooting. That might be the case, and that's very admirable too. But it's not science, it's technology.
No, it's
You
deja
can't very
vu.
manipulate something that isn't manifested.
It's deja vu, and you missed everything.
You're only manipulating something to try and induce it. So when you say, how do you manipulate it if it's not yet manifest? Well, then you're not going to be studying it because you see it manifest and ask why it happened.
Yeah, but
No,
what
you're
caused
missing
to be
it.
non-manifest? That's the question, you know.
If it's
I think
deja
your
vu,
description.
Let me
If
just
it's-
let me just address Arwin. That's absolutely fine, Arwin. It's just not science.
I
okay,
think your
Nathan.
definition of science is limiting discovery, Nathan.
On the contrary, any naturally occurring phenomena can be put through that method. Far from being limited in terms of the scope of what it can investigate, it's limited to cause and effect reasoning only. So if it's not a cause and effect relationship and you're asking what is, then you're not going to be putting that through the scientific method either because nothing's happening at step one. Why did that happen? If you're looking at a piece of rock, that's not happening. It's just a rock. It's a concrete noun. So yeah, there's limitations in terms of the scope in that regard. But no, if you've got a cause and effect relationship to establish in nature, then you can put it through that method. It's not limited in that regard. The way it establishes the cause of the effect is extremely narrow and extremely limited because it's a method that leaves you with empiricism at the outcome. Well, that's not going to be really broad, is it? It's specific. It's going to have very, very narrow investigative logic. If A then B or if A not B, that's pretty limited. But that's what you have to endure if you're going to acquire empiricism at the end of the method. You know, no one's asking you for, I want to be able to empirically prove things, but in a kind of vague, broad way.
Nathan, what's
Why,
deja vu?
I don't know. Who cares? Who?
Well,
Deja
no, I'll
vu.
tell you, you miss everything. Adam said it's already happened if it's deja vu.
Okay, so that's you're saying.
Please.
Sorry, let me get. Just ask Haslam. So you're saying LIGO studying deja vu?
Well, that's what Adam said, and I said, well, that makes sense because it's already happened.
The LIGO is a good example of an answer to the last housekeeping question in terms of any evidence of a scientific hypothesis. If you look at what they're postulating there with LIGO, and we humor it, we're saying if movement and the interferometry, then gravitational waves, and that's what they interpret. This is, say, not only have we not got a natural phenomenon, we've not even got a method of actually testing the machine. So all we can do is have this piece of technology set up and then say, when we can't rule out anything else, it means this. But you can't even test it. When have they sent a gravitational wave through just to see if it's working? Even it does respond. What is a gravitational wave? Yet we've got an interpretation of an effect within a device that means a gravitational wave.
You reckon it's got a different purpose? Because obviously, the long and short of what we're discussing here is that it's nonsense. You know, you're not doing science, but it exists and it has cost a lot of money. I'm not going to deny that. But does that mean that ultimately there's probably another purpose for it that we just don't recognise? There's a technological advancement that's taking place at LIGO that may in time benefit us, and I don't know. Is it just literally a way to dump lots of money from black budget straight into some piece of crap? You know, I mean, I fail to accept that there's so much money poured into something with only our, you know, pulling apart of the surface level explanation for what it does as pseudoscience, which it is. I'm not denying that everything we've said here is correct. It is. It's just pseudoscience. But that is only the surface level narrative for what they're doing there. Obviously, I'm kind of asking the impossible if I say, well, what's beyond the surface level narrative? Because we wouldn't know, would we?
Well, you can figure it out. It's about detection, right? What is it doing? It is testing detection on a very sensitive scale, and that's probably what it's for. It's basically researching spy tech. That's what I think.
If anything, it goes to show that the people that are weaving this narrative are as lost as the people that believe it.
You build the structure and machinery for an assumption that you have, and you find out a microwave in the cantina gets registered. What does that prove?
I don't know.
I'll add to the conspiracy, Nathan. 1.1 billion is the cost of America's that was done in 2016. And I'm just seeing here, 2024, India's due to finish their 12.6 billion rupee. 107 Indians do it a lot cheaper, $177 million instead of 1.1 billion. And it's so there's another one. And like I say, if it's that crap and that dubious, and there probably is maybe another reason that if people keep building them.
Well, I suppose the
trying to
only
open up
thing you can do
portals.
is compare it to other things that would be considered like black holes for money. And one of them, obviously, we cover more frequently recently than we typically do, but that's NASA. Well, if you actually look at the output of NASA, what are they achieving beyond pumping out rhetoric? Not a lot. I mean, maybe you can tell me where humanity is actually benefited from what they do. In other words, some tangible benefit beyond Velcro or microwaves or something, you know, pretty mundane. What is it that they've achieved for the billions that get pumped into it beyond the rhetoric? And if there isn't anything, then I'm sure that LIGO's probably the same. Just a way of giving us parallel universes in the future or some of the nonsense.
Have you ever seen the emblem for CERN? I think it's some Indian god or something.
Shiva, isn't it?
Well, just the
think
fact
so.
that it's over 1 billion US version and under 200 million Indian version, Yeah, these are same people who've signed the Antarctic Treaty, and you would think they would just say, "Hey, can we share your 1 billion LIGO building for a week? We'll pay you $2 million." Why would you go build one?
As far as the infrastructure goes, though, do you know how many people that employs and how many people were
I
employed
was
to
thinking the
build
same
that?
thing.
So what? I don't. That's not what I'm asking. I can understand the infrastructure and economic benefit to the people who work there. I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about some tangible output that they produce. So if you had a pharmaceutical company set up, regardless of whether or not you agree with the particular medicine that they're churning out, they've got something quantifiable at the end of it, right? Now, I'm not saying, oh, well, they've got products, so they're okay. That's not what I'm driving at. I'm just saying, where's the tangible product that NASA puts out? Is it just producing the propaganda of space? I would
Yeah.
suggest the answer is yes. Now, if you take LIGO and compare it as just yet another Western world black hole to chuck money at that promotes a rhetoric, that particular rhetoric might be as yet undisclosed, and then form part of whatever parallel universes we have going forward into the future. I say parallel universes because that seems to be the way that they're driving out or fizzling out the heliocentric nonsense, getting it all to be flat and parallel with all sorts of other universes and dimensions, and that kind of crap is working its way in through places like CERN and LIGO. Well, maybe they're just machines for religion. They're just the new altars. They're just the new churches. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Got a quote on screen from Nature, and that appears to be the exact purpose. Look, in 2015, LIGO's US detectors made the first discovery of gravitational waves, energy produced and radiated by the collision of two black holes, thereby confirming Albert Einstein's prediction and launching a new way of studying the universe. So that is the product. Just reaffirming Einstein and continuing on with a new bit of kit, the same paradigm.
Right. So yeah, they're the new altar. They're the new gadget and gizmo to promote heliocentric nonsense. Wow, isn't it expensive? I mean, it just cracks me up when people start comparing things like this, which is presumably going to be the religion of the future for anybody who doesn't have a religion, with old school style methods of doing the same thing. You know, we'll in 100 years from now be talking about NASA in that vein. You know, with old school religious strangleholds that they had over the people. And you're not going to look many hundred years back to see different strangleholds. They weren't always heliocentric. But just to see the huge amounts of money they chuck into it is just quite unbelievable, really.
Why are you saying it's a religion of the future when it's currently the religion now?
Because it seems to be taking, or it did take a bit of a turn, 107 years ago. We're talking specifically about Einstein. Well, a lot of the old heliocentric descriptions fall apart in terms of a globe Earth worldview. Now, a lot of the more recent, government-funded heliocentric religions put on the back burner in favour of describing parallel dimensions. And then when they link back that to the universe in terms of Einsteinian geodesics, again they're talking about planes and describing the geodesics that bend through them, aren't they?
I disagree entirely. Here's why. What happened 107 years ago is kept in a little tidy bag until you hit university. From kindergarten to university, it's everything as it was.
Yeah, but once they've got everything squared away in terms of how the rhetoric will move forward, with a relinquishment of mass attracting mass at a preschool level almost. Once that happens, I mean, that has to happen because
No, let me explain. The current situation and why people look at us as retards. You're a flat earther? What, you wear a tinfoil hat? What's wrong with you? Everybody knows the earth is a globe. Okay, we all get that at times. Maybe not in those words exactly, but very similar. The reason for that is because since birth, they've been exposed to the globe. From movies, they're exposed to the globe in outer space. From news and media, always talking about something being shot up to go somewhere that doesn't actually exist. So it's being emphasized and re-emphasized. All of a sudden, the guy sees you and you start saying, I think they've been lying to us. I think if you put everything they say to a test, they're going to have an empty bag. There's no evidence for what they're saying. And
I have some. I'm sorry.
I'm in the middle of something. So what happens is we run into these people who are conditioned, and then for them, it's severe cognitive dissonance to have two opposing ideas in their head at the same time, because one is saying, well, if this is true, then all of that was a lie, and I've been a willing lab rat, allowing them to input all these things in my head. And then this guy tells me that's all wrong, and I'm wrong. Now the pride kicks in and the conditioning kicks in. And that's why under your show and other things, it says this is an archaic view of the earth that the ancients had. You see, it's all there to condition these people that when they run into truth, like our channel and what we show, they castigate us, they make us look stupid, when in reality, all the systems are in place to keep them in the lie.
I agree. I'm going to back you up right here because they're on a mission, and the mission is to push pseudoscience. Our mission is to provide a unique range of particle accelerator facilities that enable research at the forefront of human knowledge, perform a world-class research in fundamental physics, unite people from all over the world to push the frontiers of science, but it's really pseudoscience and technology for the benefit of all. So they are trying to continue to push pseudoscience and continue to have people lost and confused.
Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Negative.
If you could just get past this flat plane, we could talk about how
I
it's a
get-
sphere.
What are you getting
Protothad.
hung up on that for?
Well, Protothad comments on these videos daily. He's like one of those butthurt ballers that become the biggest fan of the show. Although they're obviously in the comments saying, you're wrong. You don't realise that when you quote all of these citations about measuring an elevation angle, they're not talking about measuring the ground. That was his most recent comment. So I went back to him and took out of one of the citations. But it's a line between the sun and the ground you're standing on. It's there in black and white. It's clearly about the ground. We're navigating the ground, but they're delusional. But they end up becoming our greatest fans by, hanging around watching the show and specifically mentioning when we mention them, in jest about how they've told us that we should get over the flat plane that needs utilization. They're not mentioning it about the ground when we utilize a flat plane that we're standing on. That's not talking about the ground we're standing on. When you measure the flat plane we're standing on to get an angle from the ground you're standing on, in the quote that says, from the ground you're standing on.
I'm
You're getting
assuming
caught up with the ground.
I'm assuming he's referencing a sextant here. Am I right?
Yeah, it's Protothad, the guy who came here to basically ask us, or reiterate McToon's challenge, which may have been his challenge. I forget, I lose track of this nonsense. But how we were going to overcome this challenge where they used flat Earth elevation angle measurements, gave them to us and said, well, how does this work on a flat Earth? And we went back and went, the angles that you're asking us about were measured off a flat plane.
Yeah, well, my point is this. The sextant has a horizon mirror. What Prototad is talking about is a bubble sextant that does not use the horizon mirror, but a spirit level to mirror, what's underneath you, because it has to have the same distance. Because if you have a guy at the seashore and another guy next to him, one holding a mariner sextant with a horizon mirror, and say 6 feet from the ground of where the surf meets the ocean, the land, then he's got to do a dip correction of 6 feet to get his eyeball on the ground. But the other guy with a bubble sextant says, well, I don't need to do that because I'll just match you. I'll be a parallel. I'll have this horizontal at my eye line with the spirit level, so I don't need to use Earth's horizon. And you go ahead and use the Earth's horizon and do your dip correction, and we'll have the same distance on the ground as it is in the air in a fictitious, right? Fictitious horizontal, because the bubble is giving you what the ground is, the distance from GP to GP. So they know what they're doing. They can never say what they say with the sextant, with the horizon mirror. They could only do it with an artificial horizon that matches what the Earth is. That's why the word artificial is there.
I think we covered all the housekeeping questions, did we not? Not bad. With 10 minutes remaining.
Gas pressure without a container.
Covered it.
Did we?
Yeah, I
Did-
asked it.
I think we bypassed it when it was asked.
I asked it and now Indra rumpusted it.
Exactly.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon for all the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe that the sky is a vacuum, an empty space that the gas we breathe would fill?
You'd think that would open up people's eyes when they realize you can't have gas pressure without containment. But it
It does,
didn't.
Neil. No, it does, Neil. It does open up their eyes. Then the cognitive dissonance kicks in because all their life they've been told a lie. And now they're confused because instead of realizing, my gosh, I've been lied to, they tried to say, no, I haven't been lied to. You're crazy.
So is that what
Well-
happened to QE?
Well,
What I would-
look, that's happening to your son. Your son has been lied to since birth. You come and share these things. And instead of saying, yeah, Dad, the world lies, governments lie, media lies, people lie, and I guess NASA lies too, and all these schools that are set up on millions of dollars of, courses that deal with this, they're lying too. I can't believe how far the lie goes. Instead of doing that, he defends the lie.
I just want to know about the equilibrium between the outer space vacuum and the gas on Earth ball. Like, how is gravity keeping it there? That would be nice to know. But assuming that it does, then what determines like the weight
What's
ratio
gravity?
of the Earth in order to keep? How much weight does how much gas keep to the ball? Right.
What
This
what
is also a
gravity,
question with
Arwen?
the other planets out there.
The issue with the question there was the word equilibrium. When you say equilibrium, no.
No, okay.
No. Well, there'd just be entropy increase. There's not going to be a point where it reaches equilibrium. I mean, the point of equilibrium for gas that's at pressure is when it dissipates into the availability of volume that it has to fill. Well, once it's completely dissipated, in other words, it's if you release, like in that example that we have with bromine, the guy releases bromine from one container full of bromine into a vacuum that has nothing in it. And there's a moment, a fraction of a second, where it's diffusing into the available volume, right? But then it reaches equilibrium. In other words, it's all bouncing around and it's at whatever pressure it's at. It's filled the availability of that vacuum, which is obviously no longer a vacuum, it's full of bromine. Well, that equilibrium has only been achieved because it's filled the available volume. Well, if space is the availability of volume, all of the gas we breathe would have to fall in line with entropy law and fill that space. And once it filled it, in other words, all of the gas we know and experience is spread out equally throughout the known claim to be heliocentric space, that's outer space, that we say is fake. Well, if the gas we're breathing is dispersed throughout all of space, i.e. equilibrium, then we'd have no gas to breathe. And that occurrence would happen before we even achieved gas pressure. The first gas particle would come out of the ground and accelerate out into space and just never stop. And then so with the second and the third and the fourth, and you'd never achieve gas pressure if space was real. It isn't. It's fake. Space isn't real. We'd have no gas to breathe. That's
Well
why.
said.
Isn't this
I totally agree, but I did already preface my statement about the equilibrium that it is already assuming that there is some ability through gravity or weight to keep the gas to the ball. And I was just curious, what is How much weight
Much
does
weight.
it require to have how much gas sticking to that ball within the possibility paradigm?
Gas doesn't stick to a ball. My goodness. How
And
many
what is
It
weight?
fallacies
does
are
in
you
their
going to
model.
throw?
It does in their model, though. So I
Okay,
wonder
so
in their
I could
model,
do-
how much weight does it require to catch
Why
how
would-
much gas?
Why would you ask a question of their model of gas sticking when reality shows you gas doesn't stick to a ball? It's a fallacious argument from the beginning. Gravity is not a force.
And they don't
Ollie,
even have a
Fine.
model.
I was straw manning. I know. What else can I do?
How much in their model does the Earth weigh?
I don't know. How much does it?
I don't know. That's how much is needed.
What did Cavendish experiment result? What was it?
It doesn't
It
matter
wasn't
what
an
number it is, does it?
experiment.
That'll be the number that's needed to keep it there.
He never claimed to
Yes,
measure the
that
weight
that
of
is a fair enough assessment, but still, I want to know then, like, but there's other planets out there, supposed gas planets. What's keeping? How much gravity do they have? How much weight do they have somehow to keep that gas? So there must be a linear
What makes you
relation.
think they're planets?
Well, isn't Jupiter a gas giant in their world? So
Yeah, but they don't know what is on the inside. They can't.
they said it's a gas giant. That's what they say.
Well, most of it seems to be, but that doesn't mean all of it is. Who
Most
knows
of
what's
it
on the
seems to
inside?
be.
There could be a black hole on the inside for all we know.
So we're back to gas lamps in Narnia.
Could be a Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh gosh.
Just for a little side note, when the anti-flat earthers point to a gas pressure gradient, how do you have a gas pressure gradient without having gas pressure first?
You don't.
Weight attraction over distance. Less attraction over distance, so less grabbiness on the gas, so it becomes less thick.
attraction.
Can you demonstrate that?
Attraction.
So you
Yes.
need gas first.
Just
You
walk
need gas-
outside and look. There's a gradient.
Okay, Brenda.
So you would need gas first before you could have this gradient.
Well, yes, but that doesn't mean that can't just be held here through gravity somehow. No matter what it is, really, that's not relevant to this matter. But
You keep saying that word, but it doesn't exist. This word gravity. You have to prove that first.
I specifically said that it's not relevant.
Well,
So
then you can't
let's
use
not.
it.
Wow.
But it's here though, so we just have to assume
If it's not
that there's
relevant,
something there. We don't know what gravity is, but somehow it's keeping this gas to the ball. So
somewhere in my room is $1 million in cash. I just can't find it though.
But you're a millionaire.
Right. That's the special pleading fallacy part of it, right? Asserting that we always experience gas pressure in a container, but when it comes to Earth on this big scale, it doesn't do that.
what doesn't do it?
The gas that surrounds Earth, it doesn't need a container because this is a special case, right?
No, it does. I mean, but there is something counteracting against this because the gas is sticking to the ball. So if that is the case and there's an infinite outer space vacuum, then, well, we don't exactly know how, but something must be keeping that gas to the ball because it's here.
What-
We're breathing
What
it.
ball? What ball?
I was giving him the ball. I just wanted to see gas pressure without a container. It's still yet to be.
No,
So-
I know he's just having fun, but he has to demonstrate an R value. He's got to demonstrate gas pressure without a container. He fails on both those.
You're just trying to scattergun me because
Not at all.
I'm making a deadly
You're
argument.
the
here.
one with the scatter gun. You're the scatter gun guy.
You're right, exactly, projection.
Now
pure
you're
projection.
projecting.
Yes, he is. But he did ask you, what ball? Might as well answer that question at least. You went silent when he said, what ball? Because it's going to keep the pressure on the ball. What ball? What ball's it got to keep the pressure on, Owen?
The ball Earth, the one that seems so locally flat, and And terrestrial refraction makes the R value very impossible to measure, but it doesn't matter because everything is turning around us and it's at this consistent rate, and it's very easy to derive. Even if there's visual distortion everywhere, you can still make out that it has to be a ball.
If you say so. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live and you've got a free membership, then a massive thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a member, and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Gilded and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Putting people to work so that they're more entrenched in, the power that you have.
Hey, John, let me ask you a question. How did the microwave oven get discovered?
Now, was
Discovered?
it invented or discovered? Which one is it?
It's engineered.
Yeah, how did they figure that out?
Hold on, I've got the pink
Well,
writing.
they-
Hold on. Dependent variable. Microwave oven. Okay, got it.
No, but I think they
Are you
inspired
denying it?
Hold on. They inspired it on earlier radar tricks. People like the early radar days when there's still a lot of problems, and people that would put their coffee like right next to the radar thing, and then it would heat it up in like a few minutes. Right? I think that's what they really based it on.
Is this fact? Or are you just wondering?
I think that's pretty historically correct.
Okay.
That's what they figured out. Like, hey, you can use this stuff for heating.
Well, if that's the case, if that's the case, real quick, I'll get rid of my microwave. I'll get a fancy radar, and I'll have 2 uses for it.
And then what's it right then, right? I could start a fire outside and plug everything I have into it.
Yeah, but the problem is, microwave is a microwave because it has these shielding plates, which the original radar did not have, which led to a whole bunch of cancer and all that. So,
Hey, I want to get back to Baldwin for just 1 second because he said terrestrial refraction and visual distortion. How do you apply that to P waves and S waves?
that has nothing to do with visuals. It's non-visual.
Right. P waves and S waves are non-visual and they require a flat plane. So how do you get terrestrial refraction wedged in P waves and S waves?
Well, there is dispute about whether they actually need a flat plane. I mean, look at all these models that I've seen even 10 years ago about how they figured out what's underneath through these echoes specifically on the globe. So I dispute that notion that you need a flat plane in order to have P waves and S waves.
To measure the returns, the angle of the return signal, you don't need a flat plane to measure the angle.
I think they have their special own Haversine type of formula for it.
That's not answering.
But it is very informative, isn't it?
Not at all.
It isn't?
No, like how do you apply terrestrial refraction, which is bending things up from your perspective, to P waves and S waves that you're dealing with things below the ground?
That's a good question.
What? No. What do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's not relevant. Any visual distortion is not relevant to actually sending signals out into the ground of the globe you're standing on.
See, that's the point right there, is it can't be a globe because you're measuring the angle of the return signal. So
That's just an
no, it's not. I'm saying you're measuring the angle of the return signal. You need a flat plane for that. You can't apply
Why?
terrestrial refraction to it.
I disagree. Why would you need a flat plane for that?
That's the definition of an angle.
What? What does that have to do with it? On a globe, everything has an angle too. It's just not
No.
as straightforward. That's all.
No, you can't take it to the center of the globe to get this angle because
You don't
Sure.
need to.
you're measuring down. You
You
can't
don't
assert
need to. All you
those.
need is you just need to figure out locally flat. I mean, there's no super large scale processes with P waves and S waves. It's all very local. So locally flat works
Right.
fine.
But no, locally flat doesn't work fine because then you'd be applying terrestrial refraction to get your locally flat. We're talking about P waves and S waves, which do
No,
not
that's
use
a straw
locally
man.
flat.
That's a straw man.
Also,
Because terrestrial refraction has nothing to do with it.
Going to back and forth with Arwen,
Exactly, so-
please. Hold on, just Arwen, turn your speakers down. If you can leave you, obviously, I appreciate you've got to leave your mic open to back and forth, but you've got to turn your speakers down a bit more.
Okay,
'cause-
okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, John.
right. So you're saying locally flat, which is you derive that with terrestrial refraction. Do you agree to that?
No.
So it's just flat.
No, it's locally flat.
Well,
That's
there's no
has to do
locally
with the
flat.
measurement. It has nothing to do with terrestrial refraction. Terrestrial refraction just makes things look flat. Doesn't mean it's flat.
It makes it look flat, but it doesn't mean it is flat, but it's locally flat. Which one is it?
Yes. Which one?
No, it can't
That's a
be
false
yes, Doc.
dichotomy.
No.
I don't have to choose. Both
No,
are true at the
this is
same
three.
time.
You said three different things. Only one of them can be true.
No, I didn't. Two things.
No, you said locally flat, made to look flat, and curved.
No. Locally flat, you measure it locally flat because it's so small. Terrestrial refraction is just, it seems flat when it actually isn't.
I've got an objection there, Arwen. Terrestrial refraction doesn't make it look flat. Terrestrial refraction makes it look like 7/6, or it's still curved. Same.
Yeah, but it flattens it up. Come on. This is just
It
semantics.
doesn't
now.
make it look flat. It should still look curved, but not as curved as your standard 6/6 are.
Fine. It doesn't make it look flat. It flattens it. Whatever. It's still a globe, so doesn't matter.
But you see, you're applying that with visuals, right?
What am I applying with vision? What are you talking about? You keep
You're
drawing
saying
this
it
terrestrial
looks
refraction. It has
flat.
nothing to do with it. P
Right,
waves and S
refraction
waves,
has-
right? It's not visual.
Right, it's not. That's my point. P waves and S waves have nothing to do with terrestrial refraction or any other kind of.
Then stop bringing that
refraction.
in.
You're bringing that in.
I'm not. You're bringing up terrestrial refraction every
All
time.
right, well, let's go back to the beginning then, and let's not bring those up. You need two straight lines to get an angle, right? You agree to that?
No.
Yes, come on. You need two straight lines to get an angle. Yes.
Well,
No,
can
you
you
don't.
demonstrate an angle? Can you demonstrate an angle with one straight line and one curved line?
Yeah, sure.
Come
I mean,
on,
it's
You
not
do
gonna
that.
be a reliable angle. Yeah, but it's
No.
still an angle. It's
No,
just
it's
a
not.
corner, you know?
No, it's not. I mean, it might be a corner, but that's not an angle. It's like it might be a vertex, but that's not an angle. How do you have an angle if you have one curved line?
I don't know, man. My math is not good enough to figure this
Define
out.
what an angle is, John.
It's two straight lines meeting at a vertices.
Therefore, it
Yeah,
can't
but
be a
that's
curved
still
line,
in,
Owen.
but that's in math, though. That doesn't have to be literal.
Yeah, angles are a mathematical term, so yeah, it does.
Okay, so in math, well, yeah, well, guess what? Math isn't reality. It doesn't matter that we're standing on a globe and that you have to measure from that globe, right? Yeah, okay, straight lines and an angle. Oh, in math, well, guess what? Math is not reality. In reality, we're standing on a globe, and you can take a curved baseline, and you can still have a straight line to something, and it doesn't matter.
So it can be curved and straight at the same time in reality.
Well, that depends. If you're looking, you're still going to be subjected to terrestrial refraction, which bends what you look at, but
Oh,
There you
you're
go.
not
not really
bringing that
relevant
up.
You
because
go.
then
You're
if
not
you're doing
bringing
it
that
within
up.
optics,
He busted you.
just need the visually straight line, and then
You just
terrestrial
brought it
refraction
up.
evens it out. So
You
stop
brought
making
up
things so
terrestrial
difficult.
refraction. You brought up terrestrial refraction. And you said you weren't going to do that.
He
So
set
take
you
all
up,
that back.
Arwen.
You forced my hand.
Well, you
You
said you
brought
weren't
it
going
up
to do
first.
that. You said that I brought it up, which I did not.
Yeah, you did. You started out bringing it up.
I don't
Also,
know where
what
to
did I
go
say?
from there.
What did I say to bring it up?
Well, if you don't even remember, then what's the point in
Well, I
refreshing
know
your
you
memory?
brought it up. I know you brought it up. I can
No,
say
I
what you
didn't.
said to bring it up. I just want you to tell me what I said to bring it up. What caused you to say it?
Well, maybe I mentioned it, but that was only in a list that wasn't actually a part of the argument.
Right, then why bring it up?
You made it into the argument. You started to put it in there. Not
No,
me.
I said let's go back to the beginning. I don't want that mentioned. I didn't mention it. Why did you bring it up?
It's just making things way too complicated. It has nothing to do with P waves and S waves anymore.
Right, you
You
made
brought
it
in
way too
math, and then I
complicated and have
said math
nothing to
is not
do.
reality, so it doesn't matter. The curve baseline, blah blah blah. That's all mathematical. We're dealing with physical reality here.
Right, you brought in terrestrial refraction to try to complicate things, and then you say it has nothing to do with P waves and S waves. So why bring it up?
I don't know. Why do you keep bringing it up? Maybe to stall the argument because you don't have
No.
anything.
Well, let's go back to the beginning again, because that's a good place to start.
You're gonna fall for it again, Arwen.
Well, how many times are you going to do that? I mean, what's the point of this now?
I don't know.
To show you that you brought it up.
I don't know, but the more time passes, the more I feel very convinced that I'm absolutely winning this argument. I mean, for real.
Right?
And I don't even
Yeah,
mean to.
because if the other person gets triggered, then you win. If the other person just asks questions, then you win, right?
Where did Eli go? Eli was just here.
How can you lose, when you're defending the globe? I mean,
That is a good point. That is a good point. How can you lose when you're defending nonsense?
okay, let's move on. I think we all agree that I won the argument.
Brilliant.
Oh boy.
Oh, I love bowling.
You was winning once he got you talking about whether or not somebody had said something at first. Bowen was happy on that lane.
So Adam, any progress though? On a serious note, have we had any progress with the Ethereans?
No, I've had no response to my request to see the logical framework that's used. Yeah, but we wait. We'll see. But no, nothing.
Is the logical framework actually considering the ether as a framework and then just claiming that that's logical? Is that what they mean? Or are they not specified even that?
I said that with AI Overlord the other day. He was saying that he was going into apologetics for just like logical statements. I don't see that as something overreaching that you can apply to give you confidence in things. So there must be a overreaching logical framework that you use to apply to any situation. So it doesn't necessarily, it shouldn't be a one specific sentence that's just a logical statement as to why the ether is there. There just should be a framework for how you analyze stuff logically to come to that conclusion.
Is that why Whitsitt says that a single knock is a wave, or other, well, not Whitsitt. I don't want to bring people's names in. Or is that why we've heard people say that one knock is a wave?
I don't know. I can't speak for the people. All I can do is just reiterate my request, because I think that'd be very useful if we could see this document, whatever it is, logical framework that's being used.
No, I understand. I don't want you to speak to their motivations, but wouldn't that example, what you were saying as an overriding principle, is that everything has to be a wave to assume that this thing exists?
I don't know, because I don't understand their claim. It's yet to be stated what ether is. I don't know. You could make the assumption with some of the things you've heard that, yeah, but
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Okay, I'm back to normal. Man,
Well, I was
some
glad to see. I was glad to
intense
see
ball
that.
winning.
Glad to see that a kid could jump in a puddle and create cause and effect.
Are you talking about the Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah.
A little weird. That was so weird, man.
Oh my goodness.
How dare you prevent a child from splashing the water? It's such a learning opportunity. What?
I didn't
So,
see that
so
video.
what would be the observed phenomena in that? The puddle?
The waves from the puddle.
And
Yeah,
the
but there's no
gravity of
waves.
splashing into it.
Yeah, the waves would be the phenomenon, right? Waves of the water.
Well, waves. It's just a puddle. It's a puddle. It's no movement. And he said the parent, by pulling them away, instead of letting the kid jump in the puddle to see that the weight of him coming down in a puddle and the water splashing out took him away from observing a cause and effect.
Right. You might be able to formulate that. And I mean, you probably can. If I strike water, I'll create waves. I guess you could formulate that.
But shouldn't it be like action reaction for his action of jumping in the puddle? Right?
Right. The cause of the waves was him jumping into the puddle. I mean, I ain't saying you're going to do science on this. I'm just saying that's you can put that in cause and effect reasoning. Like a lot of what Neil deGrasse Tyson says is true. He just mixes in some really well placed lies with it. That's what makes him so good at what he
Makes
does.
him the great magician.
Yeah, what was it my cousin Vinny said when he was talking to those kids about the brick? He's like, the prosecutor is going to show you how this card has got angles like a brick, and if you look at it just the right way, it's going to appear like a brick.
No, he
But
was
if you
doing
turn
a
it-
house of cards. Yeah, he was making the cards like a brick.
Yeah, but you look at it the right way, and it's as flimsy as a card, right? That's
Right.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's really good at making that card seem like a brick. If I was as good as him, I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I would be rich.
I wonder how you get discovered if you're someone like him. I wonder how his road looks, his little road map to where he is now. Be a fascinating story. Shouldn't really be an admiration, but, good magicians.
Well, look who he studied under. He studied under that guy, right? What was his name? His
Sagan.
oh God, what's his name? The guy he studied under.
Sagan.
Sagan, yeah. See, that was his guy. That was his god, actually.
Okay,
It's
so
a bit
is he a
before my
wizard?
time, Sagan. I mean, I've obviously seen clips of Sagan, but is Sagan as good a magician?
Well, he was certainly very energetic and inspired, but nah, I don't think he was that great. But he was still interesting. I mean, he was very
I
influential,
think he was
especially
better.
because of his passion. Because he was so passionate at it. That was really the thing.
Sagan did not have NDT's voice. The voice is what does it for NDT.
No, because he's black. That's what does it.
Well, I'm sure that doesn't hurt, but his voice and that soothing, calm, monotone voice that he has is hypnotizing in itself.
Right, but NDT is a lot more chill, you know. His attitude is a lot more chill. Carl Sagan was like a really passionate guy, very active in his mind. Different.
Well, if you're on a battlefield, right, and you have the guy that's very calm, collected, giving out orders and telling people where they need to be to prepare for the battle. And then you have another guy over here that's yelling and screaming and is extremely passionate about running across and getting, killing people. Who are you going to follow?
I'm gonna follow the
Well, who are
passionate
you
guy.
going to find first, you know? The yelly attention grabbing person is probably going to get more eyes, but yeah, it all depends. If you
it's
come
not
across the more calm, reserved, directed person, yeah, then you choose them, of course. But they'll get
Right.
less reach because they are calm and not attention grabbing.
Right, but the not to say that he's louder, right? They're both at the same volume. Most people are going to follow the calm guy that seems to know what he's doing instead of the passionate guy. Now, the passionate guy is great, in its own way, but most people, especially
That's
when
not
they're
true.
scared.
That's true. If there's a real scariness and
Well, I'm talking
nerves in
about
the
real
in the
military,
area.
not the average schmuck on the street. See, the problem is in the moment, if you argue just the moment, then you're foregoing all the training that the people have had in the past. People are in the military prepared for the moment when they're being commanded, and they just respond naturally. The same as with the globe. People are prepared since kindergarten, even before kindergarten, to be, commanded by the people in charge of the globe. And so they just do it like automatons.
Well, yeah, I wasn't actually talking to the people. I was just talking to the mesmerizing sound of Neil deGrasse Tyson's voice itself.
So, like, primarily in a military situation, it's the rank of the person, not the way, the manner in which they speak and what you respond to. Right? So you hear it all the time in the globe earth argument. It's like, well, I defer to the physicist because he's got higher rank than me. And I've been programmed to obey his commands and all his lawful orders. So help me God.
No, I don't disagree with that. I know that there is the authority hierarchy of perceived competence within heliocentrism. I'm just speaking to what makes Neil deGrasse Tyson a better wizard than Sagan is actually his voice and the calm nature about which he goes about things.
He is mesmerizing.
He would call
though.
it sex appeal.
I mean, just look at the people he's talking to. Their eyes are wide open, and their mouth is like hanging open. They're in awe. Nobody will challenge him. As a matter of fact, get his ass in here. Get him on a flat earth debate. That's still my dream.
That would
Well,
be pretty epic, I think. I think that we would, if Neil really gets it, it would ruin his reputation, but just what if he thought that he could get away with it? If he came on with us, I bet we'd have a great time because we would get the presuppositions and everything all very strict. He wouldn't probably try to convince us, right? I think it would actually be really interesting, but it's not going to happen though.
I think he would be crippled here, you know, like 'cause
Exactly.
he wouldn't be
Right.
able to go outside the rhetoric because of fear of it, you know, the backlash.
Well, that's why he won't do it. But if he didn't have
Oh,
that
yeah.
fear, then I think that we'd get along great.
I'd bring him right into the Coriolis.
Well, no, I ain't saying he's even afraid of it, but um, he's not going to do it ever. He'll never talk to a flat earther. He has
Well,
nothing
look
to
what
gain.
look what he said. That's why he won't talk to a flat earther, right?
He has everything to
Oh, so
lose and nothing to gain.
you guys ain't up to speed, right? You guys ain't up to speed on the latest hotness then.
Fill us in, AI.
Okay, all these guys believe in essentially a material universe, right? And that's what CERN is about. It's trying to determine what's beyond the material, right? And they've basically come to the conclusion that, you know, the Higgs boson and all these other types of particles that they're looking for aren't the fundamental unit of matter. The fundamental unit of matter is consciousness. Now, if consciousness is the fundamental unit of matter in reality, then that means that there is no concrete reality outside. It's temporary and in flux, right? And these people, who are physicists, by the way, are moving towards that, to the statement where they say that the universe is actually more like idealistic monism. And yes, it is the new religion that's going to come, which is essentially subjective idealism, which is what we all predicted back in the day. You know, we witnessed it happen with Rumpus, where Rumpus said, if the earth isn't a globe, then reality isn't real. And that's where they're going, where it's a subjectively rendered reality that is a co-opted construct of the mind and the outside world, as a unified mind creates it as it goes, which is us. So it's essentially removing God from being a specific sentient agent outside of the creation and making us the sentient agents within the creation, the creators ourselves, in a causal loop where we and reality are one and the same. And that's why it's called monism, because everything is one.
Well, doesn't that run into the problem that if everybody believes the moon is made out of green cheese, then the moon is green cheese?
No, you don't get it. That's no longer a problem. That's only a problem if concrete, empirical, physical, tangible objects exist beyond the mind. If everything is a construct of the mind, then that's not a problem. It will be green cheese. Once enough people believe it, it will be. That's just the way it is. For example, God speaks and it is. So if we are God, once we decide as a congregate entity, being humanity as a whole, that the moon is green cheese, then it will be green cheese. It's just that simple.
Wow.
That is so ridiculous. But, you know, if that's what they want to do, I guess that's what they want to do.
Kind of scary.
Well,
Observe
the real
and
scary part is
declare.
that so the real scary part is that it not only applies to physical objects, right? It applies to moral constructs. So if humanity decides that morality is to change, then morality itself will change, and things that were wrong in the past will no longer be wrong in the future. You know, for example, let's just use a gross example, diddling kids. Right now, it's generally considered to be wrong, but you can already see in the social sphere that they're pushing with many different types of rhetoric that it's okay. And so eventually it will be okay.
Well, that's the scary part.
Well, in some ways, they're already doing that with consensual aspects of like children seeking their own care.
Or children declaring their own gender.
Yeah, I'd end this
Come on.
conversation right now.
Yeah.
I specifically tried to stay away from that, Neil.
Yeah, me too.
But it's
I
out
wouldn't be
there.
laughing about it. I mean, I don't think it's funny at all. It's very creepy, and it's just
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that he tried to get away and I brought it up. Not laughing at that fact at
all
all.
right. All right. Good.
Yeah, as bad as it is, we, if you can put a bow on it with this is where they're pushing the social agenda by conflagrating society and reality as one and the same thing.
No, what they're doing is rolling out psychological distraction mechanisms so that people can choose that very easily to escape into as everything is basically being stripped away from them. That's what they do that for. They place the arrangement for people to latch onto. It's provided to account for it. And then people use that as an escapism, while everything that they really do care about actually crumbles around them. And then if they don't realize that that's happening, then they stick to it even more and become even more deranged. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because if you have nothing left, right, whether it be objects or relationships or even a worldview of truth, so you have no truth, no relationships, and no material possessions that you own, what do you really have after that? Nothing, really. And the first person to come along to offer you anything, right, as the plebe or a sheep, you're just going to accept it. You're like, I have nothing. You're offering me something. You're my new hero.
Right. Well, if you have nothing, you're going to be looking for a savior.
Big Daddy government.
Now, guys, as much as we'd like to think that we're in the truth movement, okay, and we're all awake and enlightened, there are many, many people within our community that are preying on each other in this very same manner. They're using this opportunity to fill other people's heads with nonsense, whether it be about physical reality, moral reality, or spiritual reality. And that's just the facts. So
But
we're
that's
not
also
this
I agree.
kumbaya
Yes.
community, right, where everybody believes flat earth and now we're all getting along and it's all peace and love and kumbaya and everyone has everyone's best intentions at heart. Baloney.
Agreed.
Well, the corruption will just keep going, if the entire mindset shifts in its paradigm, then that only means that there's another layer that's going to be compacted to that top layer, and they're going to be highly seduced to start rearranging things and, yeah, use the trust to direct it in their own direction, right? Whether that's good or not. So it's just natural. It's just going to keep happening, right? Once you solved a problem, a universal problem, immediately the next one will present itself. That's how it always is.
Absolutely. So, interestingly, this is an interesting point. So, the ancient Chinese language, right? Supposedly one of the oldest languages. It's a symbolic language in a sense, and the symbol for woman essentially it almost looks like a broom with a hand. Okay, and the symbol for conflict is just two women next to each other. Think about that for a
Yeah, I
minute.
heard that.
So if the ancient Chinese understand that human beings, even siblings, women, right, who are sisters, are going to fight each other and have conflict with each other, then where in the world do we think that if people just spontaneously believe the earth is flat, that it's going to be kumbaya, peace on earth?
I see what you're saying.
There's not going to be peace on earth because people only want peace as a relief from the pressure that they had. But as soon as peace arrives, they'll start to miss that pressure, and then havoc will be created to be preoccupied again. That's what happens. Right? The thing about having a serious mission and being really obsessed with it is that it is also addictive to be in that state, in that flow. And this is typical for like real serious fighters and military that are really good at it, right? During a war, they're crushing it, they're legends. And then afterward, suddenly there's this void. like they can't do that thing anymore that they're so good at. And then they realize that they invested so much into that they have very little left for their normal skills. And you have to keep an eye out on that always, especially if you're getting really good at something.
Flat Earth used to be so simple when you first got into it. It was eye opening. It was exciting. Now to me, it's turning into a bunch of nonsense.
What?
No,
What are you
but
talking about?
it's still exciting. It's still amazing. It's just people that have dug in there, they're now being challenged and they're gonna try to take over, right? New grounds, new priestly opportunities.
But you always said that, Owen. I remember you saying that a long time ago. How a certain person wants to be the new guru.
Which
The
one?
answer to gravity on flat Earth.
You're talking
Oh,
about
you
Bob?
know, of course.
Okay.
You
He
called
does
that,
have
I
that
think, 3
ambition,
years
but
ago. Yeah, you called it 3 years ago, as a matter of fact. I remember. You were telling me.
At Betty's request,
I
I would
wasn't
like
the
to
only
this
one, though.
time.
I mean, a lot of people realize that.
At Betty's request, I would like at this time to say that we should not be attaching a certain individual to that
Come on. If you
idea
noticed,
of
I left
guru.
that conversation.
Right.
Because it really pissing me off, man.
I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I'm just saying that maybe we shouldn't mention him by name. You know, people can connect dots on their own.
Okay,
Or could
fine.
we feed it back to Wheelie? Right? I mean, it's
Well,
basically originated from Wheelie.
it doesn't really matter
Another
because
one.
he's not. Let's just say he is what you say is. It's irrelevant. There's multiple people that aren't as famous as him in the community that are doing it on smaller scales.
I
They take
agree.
advantage of the people that they have at their beck and call. You know.
Yes, I think we should stick to that kind of ambiguous point of who's doing it.
Correct. If
And
you
let
make it
people
about a
figure that.
personality, then people become immunized to micro scale manipulation. So as long as I stay away from this group, I'm fine, and I can go into this nonsense and that nonsense and that nonsense because I'm avoiding the big bad guy.
Well, there's a lot of
Yeah.
nonsense out there, AI.
Well, yeah, but that's the trick of it is to learn how to think for yourself so you don't get caught by the nonsense. Like I'm still learning myself. I could probably, I ain't saying I can't be tricked, but I'm learning from the times that I was tricked.
I was tricked too. Yeah, you're right.
I would just hate to think that I fell for the same trick again. And that's what,
That's
like, I was projecting that onto everybody that listened, to the people that pushed the idea of an ether. So I projected that onto all of those people, is how I felt about it. So I like to apologize to all those people as well.
I don't.
Stop getting in the way of me being a better person, Neil. Damn it.
I just think there's a lot of sentimental attachments. People have sentimental attachments to certain people. You know, he opened me up to flat Earth, so he can't be wrong. Allow him to be a free thinker and say what he wants to say. That's how we discover things. Yeah, right.
But it's just like they just thinking, give him a chance, right? Let him roll it out. Let him. Hopefully, he'll figure it out and do the right thing. That's what
Okay,
most
give him a
people think.
chance. Give him a chance. Science doesn't prove anything. Okay, where do we go with that
No.
chance?
No. I'm
We
just
use that
saying
as a
that's what
learning.
most people that really hang on right? That's what they think. It's what I think with the people that I really like, even when they've committed all kinds of atrocities and I still want to hang on. I'll be like, yeah, it sucks, but maybe there something good will come after this, right?
Well,
It's
we
just
can use
how it
that.
works.
We could use the statement that science doesn't prove anything and point out how that statement is wrong. And if backed into a corner, we could actually point to someone that says it, if we have to. But to just come out and say that they say it, I think that's what Betty wants to get away from.
We'll take that proposition, science doesn't prove anything. Why would science prove anything at all? Well, the only reason it would is if the outside world is rationally concrete and consistent. But if the outside world isn't that, and it's just a projection of a mind, and that mind can be altered at any time, then it would be true that science doesn't prove anything, which is why they're right in line with the new mainstream consensus religion.
Well, you know what? At this point, just saying science doesn't prove anything is a straw man because they would never say the scientific method doesn't prove anything.
But that's what
Right?
they mean.
So science is not that then. It's the other thing. It's the colloquial science. I mean, because they never say the scientific method, even when
So
inquired.
hold on, then why does he go into the scientific method for boiling water?
Well, you know that. Just go back to what AI said for a second, because when I was younger, I was part of like a anti-cool crowd where we would call people posers who tried to dress a certain way, even though we were trying to dress a certain. It was like an anti-cultural culture. I don't know how to describe it, but the idea of something being mainstream made it uncool, right? If it was on TV as a music video, then all those people sold out. Was the kind of the I guess the principle that was held in place. I wonder if there's any of that in flat Earth, where it's just the idea that if all these other people think this, then I don't want to think that too.
Oh, there's just a lot of people trying to be nice about it, which is what they need to keep their agenda on track.
What's
And
up,
the name
Brian?
that
I was going to
nobody
ask
will
where you
speak.
are.
The name nobody will speak is Bob Nodell. He's a lawyer and a lowlife. And he has an agenda, not an argument.
That's right.
Let's be honest and real. We're dealing with an agenda, not an argument.
I'm not going to say that you're wrong, like, because I may or may not agree with you on that. And I have no way of knowing that you're wrong if you are. But the idea behind what Betty was trying to communicate to me is, how can people ever change and keep faith if they're tied completely to the arguments they've used? It just makes them dig their heels in.
Come on, that should tell you right there. No, this was said a while ago. This wasn't just said the other day. Wants people to be able to just express themselves. That's fine, but when you start declaring things, then it's no longer expressing yourself. Now you're asserting things.
Let's ask the question. Did Hitler have an agenda? And did the rest of the Nazis have an agenda? Or did Hitler have an ideology?
That depends on history.
And some of the rest of the Nazis have an agenda? You see, I don't, maybe it's not the best example, but you could definitely say that Joseph, what's his name, from Russia, he had an agenda.
Stalin
had an agenda. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes about that. So, would you call that an argument or an agenda? You know what I mean? It is what it is. Let's not pretend anything else. Bob Nodell doesn't have an argument, but he does have an agenda.
Yes, then we've called him out on that. We've said it for a while now. But now they're doing little debate shows, Brian, and saying this is how it should be done. See how respectful we are of one another, no calling each other names. That's how to do a debate.
Yeah, but I have to point out something, and I think he's right when he says it. Bev Troy Thinking says that there's no debates happening in this arena because the side outside of us don't have an argument. What's their argument? You know, they're trying to argue for something that is outside reality. So how can you have an argument? If we're talking about physics and geometry, and you can't have an argument at that stage. So you're not having a debate. If you know what I mean. How are you having a debate? A debate should be two people claim and support. That's the official way to do it. You know, you make the claim, you show your support. You know, and at the end of the debate, something is somebody is right and somebody is wrong. You know,
right,
or there needs to be a further maybe debate, but it doesn't go on for years and years.
Right, that's John's been saying that for a while. What's the point of contention? There's no point of contention on this ether. Let's call it what it is. What it is, I don't know, but
Right. What's the point of contention with the heliocentrism now that we know they used a flat plane to derive it? You know, it's like
they weren't talking about the ground.
Right. Yeah, it's there's no argument to be had, you know. You'll never argue against delusion and be successful as far as I've been able to. You know, you can go out and argue with the crazy person on the sidewalk that's gibbering nonsense. It doesn't make them change their mind, you know?
yeah, I know, but why is Nathan getting caught up with the ground? You're getting caught up with the ground, Nathan. Forget about the ground. We're going to the air now.
Well, how do you have a debate against an opponent who can change his or her position on a dime if they need to? Whereas you have to stick to your argument because that's what you're arguing for. How can you debate and win a debate against somebody who is in that position? Like our opposition in this have always had that option to just change their model, even on the highest levels. They can just change their model, you know, to fit whatever it needs to fit. 7 over 6 hours is a great example. It's a physical change in the size of the model, you know, of the globe part of the model, you know, outside of heliocentrism. But how do you win in a situation where it's okay for the other side to contradict themselves and contradict the argument they made 2 minutes ago, and change the position they held yesterday, and then tomorrow change it again? How do you win against a completely an opponent that's able to mutate their argument, if you want to call it that, winning a debate where you rigidly have to stick to what you can see and show in reality? You know, and they ask why people on our side aren't interested in debating them after a few years. There's no point. You know, if you're going to debate them, bring someone who's worth debating, someone who will at least put a limelight onto it, and you know, people will see it. Who's going to see it? If John goes and debates MC Toon, who's going to see that? out of the population of the world? Nobody. And MC Toon will have more people behind him, more followers than John will have. So no matter what, John can't win that on consensus alone. And even at that, the amount of people that will hear and see that will be such a tiny, 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 tiny amount of people. The world won't get to see it. And like Discord is the worst because that's where they want you. In there, where 30 or 40 people get to hear a debate. And it often is not even recorded. And if it is, it's within a 9-hour recording. You know, where is that going? Who are you beating? Most of these people aren't even, you don't know who they are. They're just a name, an avatar. What's the point?
So, Brian, what do you say? Nathan should change his show to the Flat Earth Education? Welcome to Flat Earth Education? Since there's no debate, right?
Well, I'm not telling Nathan to do anything. I mean, Nathan is not hanging around Discord. What Nathan is doing, I think, is the best you could do in the situation. To be honest, Neil. Because if some of these people come in here, Nathan addresses and deals with them. You know, and they don't like what Nathan does because Nathan doesn't allow them to have what they want. And Nathan's show is the one show outside of QE's that's online that does hold them to task. Bev's does it too. I will say Bev's does it too. But obviously there's certain things that arguments Bev doesn't get into, and certain things he says that causes arguments between. It doesn't. The point is that outside of Nathan's, QE's, and Bev's, there's no. I mean, there are three places where these people are held to task. Outside of that, every other show they're not held to task. Every Discord server, it doesn't matter if you hold them to task on the Discord server because people don't get to hear it. So, I mean, there is some chance of someone hearing what happens on Nathan. There is some chance of someone in the world hearing that. No one's going to hear what happened on the Discord server. There is some chance of people hearing what happens on QE's, what QE does. There is some chance of that.
Okay, that's a great point. That's a great point. If you limit it to this platforms. Okay, so look through our history of ideas that spread before the advent of the internet. How'd they spread? Word of mouth. Okay, so the real way, if anybody wants to spread any of this information that they learned from any of these debates, is to speak with their friends and circle of influence. That's what's ultimately going to happen if anybody cares.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is, look, you have Joe Rogan's show, and on Joe Rogan, now and again, someone he's friends with, although he argues a lot with him, I think, is Eddie Bravo, right? And I know why. The two of them are doing jiu-jitsu and all that for years, so they knew each other a long time before any of this. But Eddie Bravo has mentioned Nathan. You know, he has mentioned Nathan. Now, how many people heard it at the time? I don't know, but he did mention Nathan. You know, that's something. That is something. You know, whereas if Nathan hung around on Discord, like, who's going to hear him? He'll just be all he'd be is a known face on Discord. You know, I always hated Discord. I always hate it. I get a sick stomach when I have to even go on to it. I hate it. But if I had to use it for something outside this arena, some other thing, like it was a gamer or something, I'd love it. It'd be grand then, because it's not against what you're trying to do at that stage. It's facilitating you then, whereas I think it's completely against what we're trying to do here.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, still here.
I just
hear
think
ya.
it's gone a bit silent. I mean, what's going on?
I blame
Well,
AI.
Sometimes silence is golden.
You're just too profound, AI.
well, we'll keep it going on track as it is for a moment. You know, when people come in and say, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And as this situation has happened on the live show many times, where people have joined and said, Nathan, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And all these things, it's like, no, you know, what we're doing here, what Nathan's been doing for 7 years now, is the best you can do in this situation. You know, you could, yeah, outside of word of mouth, personal word of mouth, grand, but as far as the use of YouTube and getting it word out there, this is the best you'll do. You know, because you go, let's say you take a different platform than YouTube, one of these other social media platforms. Well, they're mostly based around, most of them are based around text, right? Even if you can make videos on some of them, they're based around text. And what you have there is a swarm of anti-flat earthers who will turn up and swarm your page with text that is attacking you personally or just basically making it difficult for anyone to join in and ask questions. You know, so it's like the comments underneath a YouTube video are full of that, right? But they are secondary to the video. Whereas you go onto some of these other platforms and they're not secondary to the video. They're primary often, and the video is secondary or it's 50-50. You know, so yeah, a lot of the time it's the power is going to be taken away, whatever you're trying to do on these things, because you'll have a 10-to-1 situation all the time. If you're lucky, it'll only be 10-to-1. And if you look at what's on them things, you see, you don't only have anti-flat earthers to deal with. You have people who are pretending to be flat earthers who pump out complete and utter rubbish. You know, I'm not talking about
Those are the
people who
worst
are
kind.
naive. Yeah, well, I'm
Those are the
talking about
worst
people.
kind, Brian.
Yeah, but see, there you go. They're pretending to be things, and they're pumping out absolute rubbish on these other platforms, and they're putting out stupid arguments that are easily taken apart by our opposition. There's some arguments that are put out there that are more difficult for us to take apart than our opposition, because they're put out there in such a way where they involve some of what we talk about, and that's the problem. Whereas our opposition can just railroad them. You know, and that's why YouTube is the best platform for what we do. And even on that, YouTube greatly limit the amount of advertising that we get, if we get any advertising. So it really is a rock and a hard place, but it is the best rock and hard place.
I mean, YouTube replaces TV in many ways for many people. You know, it replaces terrestrial broadcast TV, the one that we used to get growing up as kids, BBC One and ITV, free, essentially, although it wasn't, you had to pay a license. But you know what I mean by that. The free TV service is what YouTube is. Well, that is the platform to do this on. And when people tell me to go on TikTok, which I get quite a lot, people are like, go on TikTok, go on. So every so often, go and have a look at TikTok. I'm like, man, this is just purely designed for the ADHD generation, isn't it? It's just designed for people with a short attention span. It's the YouTube for kids, as far as I can ascertain.
It's quick flicks. It's just flicking around. Click, 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 click.
It reminds me of when you want to watch trailers for movies. You know, you get to see all these exciting parts, all these parts that might make you maybe want to be more interested.
Do you remember when you were used to watching the 80s and 90s, and there'd be an American with a cable TV network that had over 200 channels? And what you'd show on our TV screen. So we're watching a TV screen, or I'm watching a TV screen with a kid on the TV screen watching a TV screen. And he's watching cable in America. And he's got the remote and he's going, click. Do you need lower prices on your click? I like going through the jungle at night, click. And it's Rocketeer, click. And it just changed channels every 3 or 4 seconds, going through hundreds of channels. That's what TikTok is. It's for that irritating kid that was sat in front of old school TV, flicking through channels one after the next and only watching for about 15 seconds. That's what TikTok offers. YouTube, long format, for those with a longer attention span than 60 seconds.
Right. Netflix quick flicks. Click, 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 click.
Yeah, and I think that because you already have shorts now, which are basically TikToks on YouTube, that you know,
I mean TikTok. Damn it. Sorry.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is that TikTok, I think, is a great platform for some things. I don't have it myself, but it's a great platform for some things. But I don't know how much it would help Nathan or not help. You know, it's like, how much can you get out there in 60 seconds? How much information can you put into 60 seconds? Maybe a lot, but it's really, I think it really only could work as an advertising, an advertisement for the flat earth debates.
Well, what's going to happen is it's going to reach a saturation bubble where people who are veterans and have been through the arguments, right, are worn out and tried out and aren't going to take it to the streets. And the TikTok generation is going to adopt it and then oversaturate the market with nonsense to where, again, people who actually know what they're talking about are going to be a very small minority of the subject and very hard to find. It's just the way it's going to be.
I mean, I've got material that I could stick on TikTok. I've got it ready to go. I just don't want to. And as much as there's going to be a couple of people in my comment section that are like, you keep telling me you'll look into it and now you're just saying you're not interested. Well, I'm not. I've got to be honest. And my assessment's the same as Brian's in that regard. So, it might be the case that TikTok comes up with something that beats YouTube at its own game. But so far, as Brian's just pointed out, YouTube Shorts are the reason I've got a ready-to-go TikTok account if I ever wanted one. I could stick 100 videos up immediately on TikTok. Do I want to? Nah. Number one, I haven't got time to monitor it. But if it was financially advantageous, I'd be on it like a heartbeat. But I don't think it is.
Oh man, I can see the headlines tomorrow. FED, in it for the money.
And I'd say, yeah.
That's right.
I'd say, yeah, I am, yeah. Yeah, I do actually want to pay rent and feed my kids. Shocking.
Donate to the PayPal right now.
Well, that's something I wasn't going to mention, but as you brought it up, when Brian says there's very limited advertising, I don't know how true that is. For me personally, I think it's fairly average. I can look at the rates and compare them to other YouTubers, and yes, they're at the low end of the mean averages that you can assess across the board. And people who are getting, $6 for every 1,000 views or something, you're like, well, lucky old you. I'm not. I'm at the other end of the scale. Yes, it's low. But that isn't what supports me. What supports me is, that's why I was a bit taken aback earlier, the memberships and the patronage, and that's what actually supports the channel. That's what keeps it going. That's what keeps the lights on. That's what pays for me to sit here till 3 a.m, putting 600 watts of power through the PC just to test where it's stable for 5 hours straight. When that bill comes, I can only pay it because of Patreons, not because of YouTube advertising.
Yeah. And let's be clear, people that put out content that say so-and-so shouldn't do it for the money or so-and-so is doing it for the money, while simultaneously having 4 or 5 methodologies of their customer base being able to contribute to them. So it's like what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's really quite pathetic that people are criticizing each other for taking remuneration for their efforts.
I've never understood that mentality.
Especially people who believe in the Bible, because the Bible clearly says, let everyone who is taught communicate all good things to the teacher. Now, the word communicate there means supply their needs. It doesn't mean talk to them. It means give them things because they're teaching you. You're earning from them. Why should you then deprive them of food? Like this idea that people should be monks and work for free for any proposition is ridiculous on its face. And anyone who proffers that idea should be laughed at.
Nathan, you're way too modest too. There's this other genre I'm in, MobTube, and they outright say, "Look, I'm entertaining you. Send me some super chats. If you don't send me money, I'm shutting off this live right now." And the money comes flowing in. So you're too humble. Ask for that money.
I definitely do, Neil. So don't worry about that. I have no shame in that regard.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
actually
you're
not a bad
providing a
business
service.
strategy. So a lot of people complain that you're too mean. So you should have a nice meter. Be like, I'll be nice for the next 5 minutes if we reach $50 in donations.
I'm only claiming not to be nice when someone's had their ass handed to them and their argument taken apart. And it wouldn't necessarily always be the case that it's me taking their argument apart. More often than not, the show gets criticised because you, AI Overlord and the panel and anybody else who's here, take apart somebody after the fact, based on their video. It's normally, reactive. And it isn't necessarily reactive because they're sat here putting it to us in the first instance. It's normally more reactive because they've told someone else, been on someone else's show, put a video out, and we take it apart, and then they say we're being mean to them.
Oh, poor baby. Why so many feelings in this?
You're asking the wrong person, Neil. I don't know. I
I'll
don't
tell you
trouble
why.
myself with it either. Why should we concern ourselves with the feelings of these people?
I'll tell you why there's only feelings. They don't have
Feelings.
any arguments. That's all that's left. It's the last port in the storm. It's really the only port. Unfortunately, when they get there, their piers collapsed. That's where I'm standing with the flamethrower.
Wow, that was a good one. Was that an intended pun? Their piers collapsed?
I've had a week off, so I'm kind of owing Patreons and members the extra material. But obviously, given the high level of enthusiasm after the week off, I didn't expect the sugar rush to wear off this quickly into the week. We have got one more day of live shows. But there we go.
Let me give you a bit of. There was something Overlord said earlier. You might like this, Neil. It was referring to the Chinese and stuff. I don't know if it's true. It's something I've known for years. I've just been and found the document. It talks about how the formation of Chinese characters has an origin in Genesis. You ever heard this, Neil?
Genesis. Somewhat. Go ahead. Tell me again anyway.
If you see the screen, look. So, in terms of how Chinese characters are formed, so this is the first one. So this is the symbol for create. And it's constructed. So just keep Genesis in mind, in all these. It's constructed with the characters for walk and talk. Now, talk is constructed with a man, a mouth, but also living dust, which is interesting. And another one, this is my favorite, garden. So there's the character for garden, and that's made up with dust the breath of two people, and also an enclosure, which I think is quite interesting for the symbol for a garden. But it requires the two people and living breath. That's two. So the one for boat has got the symbol for vessel plus 8 people. So thinking about Noah. And the symbol for flood is this one, which is made up of water and this big character, which is altogether over Earth 8. Again, so again, hints of some of this derivation from Genesis. There are others, but I'll post the thingy, but just some Overlord today. Quite interesting.
Very interesting.
Was that it?
Yeah, just a little bit of miscellany for you. Could have
I
gone on
thought
about why the boiling point of water in 100 degrees, but you know.
I thought you were getting to a point there. I thought I was waiting for the climax, and I fell asleep.
No, that is it. That was all it was. Just I think that's fascinating that the origins of those characters have got that similarity to the story of Genesis. To have a garden which has got a man and a woman in it, with dust, the breath, and it's enclosed. I think that's
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So we have creation, which is to walk and talk with living dust. Is it? I find.
Perhaps I should have stayed quiet, and I wouldn't get a rerun.
Oh, you're
Ashes. Hold on. Is that the David Bowie song?
He's getting you
Ashes.
laugh at him.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
What's miscellany?
Just a little bit of unrelated trivia.
That's miscellany.
So that's how I use it. Let me type it in.
Like you would know. Can I ask you a question?
Or collection of different items, a mixture.
Will there be a ball buster Saturday?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Miscellany. Spell that.
MISCELLANY.
Is that derived from miscellaneous?
Yeah. But it relates to the fact you're talking of a topic.
I like it. I never heard that before. Hey, you learn something new every
joke.
Well, what now?
I don't know. Only if you guys want to hear a crude joke.
Oh, brother.
It's used miscellaneous in a sentence. I went to Taco Bell. Later that night, I had miscellaneous.
Bit like celibacy and Shirley Bassey. Very different things.
I was going to say, those are usually Nathan's jokes.
But it's not like it's not relevant to the subject matter because they use, stupid names for things in space,
I want to know why QE hasn't informed us that CERN and LIGO are at the cutting edge of all of science and are the most respected in the science field.
Well, they are, because science means to know, and we already know Earth's a globe. Therefore, it's science.
QE just booed Adam off the stage there. That's what happened. Adam was up playing a song with his guitar, and Q was like, "Get off the stage, you loser."
What was he saying? Give me CCR?
It wasn't that bad, man. I was just I just woke up a little bit ago, so yeah, I'm in the fog of the morning, and I'm waiting for something profound. Meanwhile, the profoundness was already in there, and I missed it. That's what it really boiled down to. So I started heckling him, so I could cover up that I missed it. Follow?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, you already know.
Can I ask what we'll be going over Saturday?
It's an open panel, Neil. Friggin' relax.
The origins of Genesis in Chinese characters, I was hoping.
Yeah.
Let's hope you were paying attention, Neil.
Yeah.
I'm always paying attention, even when I'm not paying attention.
Oh, I have a question.
Go on,
That
then.
will be on topic.
Excellent. Thank God.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wouldn't jump at it too soon because you may not like the question. Where are all these heliocentric space aliens? I think that's the question we should be asking our opposition. We're at that point, aren't we? Where are your space aliens? Come on, if you live in the heliocentric universe, you should have space aliens. Where are they?
They're here, just that the world leaders have agreed with them not to divulge their presence to the
No,
masses.
that's the plot of Men in Black. So space used to be described as the area beyond the known world at the horizon, and aliens are people that aren't native to the land that you're talking about. Therefore, aliens from outer space would be the people undiscovered beyond our horizon, and that's what they were until 150 years ago. Then they became little green men on distant worlds in a heliocentric worldview, with planets being places that could have habitation factored into them. Well, that's all nonsense. Where would they be? Well, they'd be out towards where all the other aliens have come from and the new worlds that have been found to date. That's my answer. There is no outer space to have planets and rocks with aliens on them. That's nonsense.
Yeah, but I think I'm missing the question though a little bit. Like, I'm actually seriously I'm putting it forward seriously as it's time to ask them that. We're at that level of ridiculousness, but it's not ridiculous either, because if what they say and try and argue for is true, then they should be able to produce some aliens. It's time for them to produce aliens.
You're not up to date. This has already been addressed in their paradigm. Okay, it's called Fermi's paradox. All you do is you have two propositions that are seemingly contradictory. You just call them a paradox. Once you call them a paradox, it sounds sciencey, and therefore it's okay.
Yeah, but you're missing the magic that could happen here. If we seriously start asking them to show us your aliens, I want them to actually try and come up with some evidence for aliens. I want to see what they're going to do. I mean, they ask us the most stupid of questions. But technically, this is not a stupid question, is it? They're supposed to have aliens within the model. There's supposed to be loads of aliens. Show us these aliens who live on these other worlds. Show us your heliocentric aliens.
Okay, so again, you're not up to the latest hotness. So the universe is actually, in their model, expanding faster than the speed of light. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Therefore, the aliens that are way out there could never reach us. They couldn't even send us a signal. So they would be unknown to us indefinitely. Therefore, they exist out there somewhere, and we never know it. Therefore, they're true. And therefore, the Earth's a globe. Why do I know this? Because we already know Earth's a globe. And if you doubt me, see Proposition A. We already know Earth's a globe.
No, general relativity. You can create a wormhole between 2 points in space. That solves that problem. but that's not our problem. It's like, it's why are you trying to even answer? Leave them answers. Where are your space aliens, ballers? Leave them answers.
Very
Leave
far
them
away.
answers.
That is their answers.
Very far away in a region that doesn't really exist.
That's not producing an alien.
That's Narnia, though.
You have to produce an alien. Show us your alien.
Well, it's easy. It's actually much, much easier than that, which is you say wormholes. Fine, fair. I trump you with another universe. There you go. So they can't get to our universe from that universe, and that's why they're not here yet. Problem solved.
Yeah, but that means they don't have an alien.
No, it just means they can't produce an alien. It doesn't mean they don't exist. Those are different propositions.
Yeah, but to prove something exists, you need to be able to physically show it. Do you know what I mean? Show us your alien, heliocentrists. They have to have aliens. They have to have. There has to be aliens, and they have to be able to produce these alien
Guess what else they also have to have? In the idea of the many worlds theory, okay, all expressions of physics must exist as a necessity through probability alone, since you have infinite probability. Therefore, in one universe, at least one universe in their paradigm, there is a universe with a flat Earth. So even if you believe in heliocentrism in the modern sense, right, with all the physics mumbo jumbo that they're putting out there, then somewhere the Earth is flat. So if the Earth's a globe, the Earth is flat. I win. I rest my case.
That's not producing an alien, though. They're no alien. It's a fair. My point being is that it's a fair question to ask them. It is part of their heliocentric belief. It's a fair question. If what you say is true, then where's your alien?
Look, it's a fair question, but it's not conclusive logic. If the Earth was a globe with heliocentric expanding cosmology, aliens would exist. You can't show me an alien, therefore it's not a globe. It's not good logic.
Well, producing an alien might help it to become a globe. Do you know what I mean? Do you not want to hear what answers they give you?
That's
Come
bad
on,
logic as
you're
well.
giving
For example,
answers.
if I
You're
show you
giving
an
answers.
entity that has a morphology that cannot be explained by the physics of Earth, does that mean that heliocentrism is true? What if it came from interdimensional realm? So again, it doesn't add
Yeah,
up.
but you're missing the point here. You're missing the point. You're giving all the answers for this. I'm asking you this. I want to hear the bozos who we deal with answer it. I want to hear all their BS answers. I don't want to hear your answers that have logic involved. I want to hear the illogical nonsense that they're going to come up with. I want some entertainment out of it. There's no point in you. I know about it. Yeah, you can tell me all those things. Yeah, that's brilliant. We can all that. I can think of all those things too. Yeah, different dimensions, parallel universes. Yeah, that's great. I want to hear what the bozos we deal with. I want to hear what they come up with. It's their answers I want. No offense. You're using logic.
Oh,
That's
dude,
not who
I know, that's fair. Do you want me to give you one that I heard recently?
Go on.
To be fair, though, it's not a bozo, it's a physicist. He basically said that the aliens of the past have already evolved. So along the track, we're evolving, right? So we evolve, and then we make computers, and then we figure out how to download our consciousness into computers and have, like, a cybernetic body. Then eventually we don't need the body anymore. We're just in a software state. And then eventually from there, we evolve into pure energy, and we just float away from the computer into the universe. And so these clouds of energy that we see through telescopes, they could be aliens from the past that have evolved into spirit beings. And one day we'll get to go out there with them, and we'll float around in the universe.
That checks out.
Not if our cousins are rocks.
Especially named Rocky. I got a cousin named Rocco.
Okay, then. I'll go with a different question. Show us your globe map. That's an oxymoron, right? But we've been asked for 7 years. All these people keep on doing. This is their go-to question. When under pressure, right? They have a couple of go-to questions. One of them is, show us your flat Earth map. That's one of their go-to questions.
Brian,
right?
that's still B. He always says that. Constantly in chat, he's asking for a flat Earth map.
But that's the go-to question, right? Show us your flat Earth map. Now, OS maps are flat Earth maps. If you want to say it like that, 2D OS maps are flat Earth maps, and 3D OS maps are maps with a horizontal baseline and elevations, right? So OS maps, if you want, and they're the most accurate maps we have, right? Go figure that. But anyway, the point is all maps are flat, but there's all these different maps. So which one of them is the globe map? Because all they ever say is all maps are a projection of the globe. Which is the exact projection of the globe? Show us your globe map. Show it, because all we ever get is asked was, where's your flat Earth map? Where's your flat Earth map? Where's your flat Earth map? Show us your globe map. Because I've been asking that question. I don't know how many times I've asked it now to these bozos on YouTube over the past week, and nothing. Where is your globe map? Show us, which one is your globe map? Is it the Mercator, the Gold-Peters, the Gleasons, the AE? Is it the Universal Transverse Mercator? Which one is your globe map? Show us this globe map. What one of them, the best one of them came up with? A globe. One of them came up with a globe. That's not a map. It's a globe. That's not a map. It's a globe. Show us your globe map. Map, not globe map.
Hold on.
I think that's a fair question. We should be holding them to task. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. It's not that important. It was just facetious. Which is the globe map is on the globe labeled not for instructional purposes. That's where it is.
I was going to say that too. On the bottom it says that, right? Not for educational purposes or something like that.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is that it's a fair question, is it not? Why is it not a fair question? Why not? Like, show us the map. They're never going to produce the globe model. Show us the map. Show us your map.
So they can't produce the model. You'll settle for a map, though, right?
Well, it's not. It's not that. It's like they have to then adhere to one of the known maps. Is the Mercator map your map? Is the Gold-Peters map your map? Which one is your map?
But aren't all maps flat Earth maps? Aren't they all derived from flat Earth?
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's an oxymoron to even think about a globe map. But they're claiming that all maps are derived from the globe. So show us the globe map. Don't see, it's a get out by them saying all maps are derived from the globe. That's a get out. No, because all maps are flat. So when they ask us, show us a map, flat Earth map, it is totally logically fine to say all maps are flat, because they are. That's what a map is. But, right, they're claiming that all maps come from the globe. Okay, show us the one that represents the globe then. Which one are you claiming? That means they have to actually claim a map. And once they start claiming a map, we can take them apart on it. Get them to claim a map. That's why the best they came up with for me in a week is a guy came up with a globe. He sent me the name of this thing to go and check out. I went and checked it out. It was a globe. I said, a globe is not a map. He just sent me a globe. This is like an ornamental globe that's supposed to be very good, and a lot of people say it's a really nice one. Who cares? That's not the map. Show us the map. MAP map.
Hey, Brian, you ever see how expensive some of them globes are?
I tell you, I'd own one of them. If I had money, I'd like to have a really nice one. They look really nice. They're not reality, but they look lovely. And some of them are really
There's nothing wrong with having one either. Like take a computer, right? When you're zoomed in, you can't see everything, so you use the little mouse clicker and you move it around. A globe is just a convenient way to portray a map where you can spin it around and see different locations rather than having a big ass piece of paper.
I remember back in the early days of Flat Earth, they would say GPS proves that you're on a globe. How do you think GPS works?
I remember saying,
I gotta do some
sorry.
checking. So I think
Breaking up.
Hello?
I'm not hearing anything.
He's gone.
Gone.
Yeah, well, I remember saying before that maybe the globe was just something that was easy to have in your hand if you're on board a ship. You know, because you know it won't blow away as easy. You know, we can have a weight inside of it. It won't blow away as easy. You know, it'll more likely to fall straight down and roll somewhere, as opposed to, you know what I mean? It just might be an easier thing to have in your hand, you know, on board of a ship, you know, something like that. You know, if you wanted to just look at things, be able to see the longitude and latitude and stuff, maybe something like that.
That might be my cue. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.